Welcome back, everyone, to the SMITE Summer Masters Day 3 Elimination Friday. And this is going to be the last set. It's Gore, it's Trelly. But before we jump into that one, I want to tell you, not only are Little Umbrellas amazing, but so are Alienware PCs. Whether it's laptops, the actual desktops that you can get, the gaming monitors, any of the paraphernalia that you can get there are going to be phenomenal for you. These things run insane. The Aurora Ryzen R10 desktops that the pros are playing on out there, of course, the 244 hertz gaming monitors that they're using are all amazing. And you can get your own by going to SMITEGame.com/Alienware and using code AWSMITE09 on checkout to make sure that you get some discounts on all of those fantastic products. Of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter at Alienware, and go to AlienwareArena.com to join their global community for giveaways and more. And like I said before, I got Trelly hanging out on the desk with me as we move into set number 4. So far, it's come up 1 in A, 2 EU, one more set to determine which teams are going to come forward. Is it going to be a balance? We're going to be EU heavy on Sunday? I guess we'll find out. It's going to be a fun one, though, right? So far, nothing but 2-0s, Wardens and Scorpions. So, again, another one that should be pretty close, and I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think having a little bit of rivalry there between the NA and EU SEC is going to be interesting as well, because at this point, right, the Wardens are kind of holding all of NA up on their shoulders and saying, like, hey, if we want to continue this trend how it's going, and we want 2v2, we got to be able to take on the Scorpions here and make sure to shut them down. But both of these teams are looking for a win here, right? I mean, both of these teams would love to not go home today.
Well, we've mentioned it. We can go ahead and look at it again. 2-0s, Hounds. At the beginning of the day, we're able to find it. Then the Mambo get a 2-0 over the Storm. We just watched the Ravens get their 2-0 victory over the Sages. And now we'll find out, is it a 2-0? Is it a 2-1? Is it the Wardens? Is it the Scorpions? The suspense. Hopefully it's there for you, because that's what we're all waiting on to try and figure out. And you have to look at this group again. None of them are particularly easy for any of these teams, because every single one of them are incredibly talented. The Scorpions fell down to the Titans, although had some interesting plays throughout it. The Wardens, I will say, I think looked pretty good against the Levi's as well that first day. So it'll be interesting, once again, what these teams have to offer, where their drafts go, all of that fun stuff that they try to tackle it. And Charlie, specifically, you know, looking in towards these teams and going in maybe a little more zoomed in on the Scorpions specifically. This is a squad that has played really well. Again, a team that, if you go back to Phase 1, similar to the Sages, the Phase 1 wasn't really the best for them, right? Phase 2, they got everything together and they started to pick it up to the point where, a lot of people know these guys' names. Sarpeii, out of the jungle, has made a very, very prominent name for themselves. Pikarino in mid, though, has definitely made themselves a prominent feature of the EU SEC, and definitely for this team.
Yeah, I think it's one of those teams that, you're right to highlight, didn't have the best Phase 1, but finally figured out exactly how they wanted to play the map, how they wanted to really play their own style of SMITE, and, looked a lot better once they figured that out. It's unfortunate that, squads like this have ended up in the losers bracket, right? Because they have played so well, but it's just steep competition, up against the Tartarus Titans. Any team's going to look, have their work cut out for them. But you're right to highlight, Pikarino has been a big decision maker on this squad, and it's been always consistent, right? You always want to look towards your mid laner as being able to do crazy amounts of damage throughout and play safe, and I think Pikarino able to do that pretty consistently. One of those mid laners that is never one to stray away from different style of mages in the mid lane, can play the hunters if need be, but also has those meta mages down pat as well. Not having a god puddle, as it were. That's not what you want from your mid laner. You always don't want someone that can only backpack to only like 2 or 3 different characters, just having a wide variety of diversity in your mid lane. I think Pikarino brings that in spades.
And, we've gotten to see it, like you said, several times. To the point, I believe, if I remember correctly, when they were playing yesterday morning, like the chat was spamming it, like specifically Pikarino's name, things like that. Look, if you're going to be well-known, have a good spammable name. And Pikarino has matched that, plus the play, like you said. But you don't just have to take it from me. In fact, you can hear from them themselves. We've got Spooky standing by in the booth with the Scorpions.
All right, so we're here with one of the most dangerous habitats we have here today. We're here with the Aaru Scorpions, 6-man-sized Scorpions here playing SMITE today. I'm here with Bevy, first of all. Bevy, first, how's the hand doing?
It's sore, I won't lie. It is sore, I won't lie, yeah.
All right. Do you think that soreness is going to impact your ability to play this game in any way, shape, or form?
Nah, I'll still brag my boat. No worries.
No worries at all. I'm going to step down here. I'm going to go over to Pikarino. Pika, you are going against Moswal today in the mid lane. How does that feel?
I think I'll be able to handle him.
Be able to handle him? How well will you handle him?
Well, he's not Paul, so I think I'm fine.
He thinks he's fine. I love that. We love to hear confidence. Question for you, Predss. What are the odds that we see a disco support using Sphinx's Bobble today?
Not Bobble, because, you know, a bad item. But Disco TP. Now that could be something that I've been working on.
All right. Sphinx's Bobble, no go. Sphinx's TP might make waves here. We're going to throw it back to Gore on the desk, see how it goes.
Seems like they've got things under control in the Scorpions booth. I think the best descriptor I heard was, well, he's not Paul. And you know what? That's how I'm going to start going into my mid lane matchups.
I mean, no lies were told. Moswal is not Paul. I've ran the numbers. I've looked at them both. They're different people.
Are you
so.
sure? We might need to double check.
Wait,
Like,
is
get the player. We need the player cams for the
Paul?
Wardens.
Hold on,
Is Moswal in fact Paul? Hold on, looking in there. No, that's definitely not Paul. Okay,
yeah,
so
that's
we're
Moswal.
we're
All
a
right.
little more set on that. Yeah, no, Moswal though. Look, man, if you're talking about stepping up to somebody in mid lane,
Yeah.
Moswal's not necessarily an easy matchup for you either.
No, definitely not.
A world champion who has done very well in the SBL in the past.
Wait, but Paul's also a world champion. Hold
Paul,
on.
yeah, Paul's also a world
Wait, I'm
champion.
drawing a lot of similarities.
Paul's a
here.
2 times though.
Yeah,
that's where they start to deviate.
That's double the rings.
Yeah. That's also double the weight to then have to carry on your hands. You know, it slows down your aiming. Moswal, he's a little more free-flowing.
And it shows in the gameplay because Moswal has been an unstoppable force in that mid lane at times. And I always have to bring his god pool into question because it is not the normal. You know, we were talking about Pikarino always being able to pull out, you know, these different style of mid laners, but also the traditional tried and true top meta picks. Whereas Moswal, you know, has played the Agni in this tournament, has been the proprietor of the Alpwash in the SCC. You know, hell, that one's not too interesting. We're gonna skip over that because people have been playing hell. But the Zeus as well, these different style of immobile mages Moswal loves to play and always looks good to. Yeah, when was the last time you saw a Vulcan highlight? Like, this just goes to show what Moswal brings to the table. And I like that Pikarino's confident. You just never know which version of Moswal you're going to be getting in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm always excited to see what he has to offer just because, like you said, it's an eclectic pick, right? Moswal here. Well, this is Morgan Le Fay, which not too long ago, you're talking phase 1, like that was normal.
Right.
Wild to think how different things have gotten. Wild to think of the kind of picks he locks in normally. Like you said, I mean, Upwash was on the rise last week in the SBL. That's right in Moswal's wheelhouse. And while we didn't maybe see any SBL teams locking in the Vulcan, I can always cross my fingers and hope, right?
I would love to see the Vulcan. Yeah, it really just depends on the matchup. But whenever the Vulcan is in a decent spot where we can see it played, then yeah, I'm going to be liking that one. But looking at the stats between the two, Moswal is just a farm goblin. Look at that gold per minute.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you have anything, and I always kind of, you know, when you're in the low 500s, that's usually like, hey, you win a lot of games. So that says a lot here for the Wardens. Other side, still speaking pretty good for the Scorpions again. I'm interested to see 195 kills, though, to 65. If I could highlight and encapsulate the essence of North America versus Europe,
Yep.
that might just be the best signifier. This graphic might do that better than any words we could say. The Wardens like to get in there, they like to fight, and they like to play aggressively. The other side, the Scorpions, well, yeah, they like to play, they like to farm, they like to do exactly what EU's used to, and they still win towards the end. I'm excited to see how these two will clash when it gets into this, especially because of the way the tournament has been unfolding. And you know, we talked about this a little bit, but things like picks and bans from the last time we saw these two teams, not this week, but prior in the SCC, whether they're winning their sets, losing their sets, when it was. Since then, we have not really gotten to see, you know, like what they do with mid-season changes, what they do with the patches afterward until this week. And I'm curious how they're going to continue to adapt here.
Yeah, it really just depends on the style of play that you're going for here. Because, again, it cannot be stressed enough that this is an elimination matchup. You lose this, your journey here at Masters is done. Your shot at the prize money is also gone. You have to put it all on the table. And when the going gets tough,
Yeah.
Moswal's good in the clutch. You know, he's able to bring out these different style of picks and make them work. And I think the greatest benefit of something like that is these teams don't know how to play against it, right? And again, I think the Outwash has been played a little bit more since then, so I can't even consider that like one of these different style of picks that people haven't seen. But I'm hoping Moswal's been cooking something up. You know, something like the Vulcan we were talking about. That's something people be like, wait, what's good? Like, did they really just lock in Vulcan on us?
I think it would be fun to watch. Just in general, everything that he has in his god pool. That it really does change the flavor of the game. I don't know what it is the Wardens are going to be able to bring out. I personally like. I mean, Opwash was right there.
It was.
And then took a little while. He's been on a little bit of a break. But maybe we'll get to see it. Maybe we won't. Maybe it'll be the Vulcan. Maybe it'll be none of these. Maybe Agni will come back. We'll find out here in Picks and Bans for game number 1. So we have the Wardens as your first pick team. Will the Hounds be the only NA squad to move forward to Sunday? Will the Wardens be able to put their name on that list? Maybe a lot going through their minds. But first, you've got to get through this set. Khepri, banned out immediately by the Wardens. One of the, look, just top bans when it comes down to it. I mean,
Yep.
he has been around every set, every league. Khepri is just too much to handle. Kabrakan on the other side. Also been around most sets, maybe not every set, but most sets and every league. The Daji as well. This is where things can get very interesting because, you know, top picks, top bans specifically, Trelly, the 4 we see. You add in your Lancelots, your Amus and Cobbs. Those have been towards the top. Eset this week has been very highly prioritized, stuff like that. Yamoja has to come into the conversation and gets banned out there by the Wardens alongside the Daji. Chernobog in that conversation from the Scorpions and in the meta.
Oh, yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see if anything deviates from the norm. Baba Yaga's been kind of taking a couple of places. King Arthur has been up there for a little bit. It doesn't seem like we're going to get anything wild in the ban screen yet. That might be a game 2 proposition. Let's see where the Wardens go with their first pick. Do any of the bans, I mean, Lancelot, he's been banned a lot for someone we don't get to see too often.
Yeah, I was really expecting Nemesis in that slot, but I guess it's more so just Lancelot. Maybe the unknown of it all. Like, could it go solo? Could it go jungle? We don't want to deal with it. Probably just the call, right? If you don't know how to play against the Lancelot, I see no reason to let it through. Why not just, you know, let the Wardens go in for the Ratatoskr, for example. RelentlessOne has played this in the solo lane plenty of times, is usually able to get pressure and then using that global presence to influence the rest of the map. And of course, Elleon could also pilot in the jungle, hold on to that flex potential.
Not often that we get to see Ratatoskr at the top.
First pick
right?
is interesting.
I was going to say, it's when... Man, when would the last time you could have seen this happen? I'm still thinking that
Let's
maybe,
show
I
them
guess,
the
around
power
this
of
release,
magic.
maybe. But it's still been a while since Rat's been up towards the top. Eset gets locked in on the other side. You still got your Cupids. You mentioned Nemesis. You know, you have to look towards some of the tanks that are still available. We haven't seen as many like Ymirs, I think, this week as maybe I would have expected. But with an Eset, with a Cupid locked in, feels like the Scorpions got off to a really good start.
Yeah.
Very comfortable in the draft.
Yeah, we were talking about how the Rat was a little odd to be locking this early on into a draft. The Eset and the Cupid on the opposite of that spectrum, holding on to the ambiguity of, you know, could this Eset be going over to support? Could it be in the mid? I've already voiced my concerns about it all. You know, you're still going to bring a ton of CC and lockdown to that support role, but, you know, when you're going more damage-oriented, I think Eset just instant confirm onto these objectives. And now we get to see the Mercury locked in. So Elleon trying to hard carry this game away. That's what this pick tells me, right? Mercury, more often than not, a difficult character to make work. You have to be landing these sonic booms effectively. You gotta be getting crit online before you really start doing damage. But if you're hitting everything, I mean, Merc can really run a game. You can affect the lane from a different lane. You know, you could just ult from behind the tier 1 tower, make sure that that duo lane is in a lot of trouble. And Cupid, you only get one set of beads, so after one comes, could be in some trouble.
Now I have a question for you. Yesterday, we watched Heimdallr play into Cupid.
Right.
It did not go well for the Heimdallr. How do you feel about this matchup? Because the Wardens have locked it in, and unless they're swinging something wild in the mid, that's going to be what we're seeing in the duo lane.
Yeah, I think of Heimdallr as like, you know, you're picking it for the extreme safety. It's not gonna, you're never outboxing the Cupid. You're never really winning those trades, or you shouldn't be rather. But as long as you're using the Bifrost effectively and you're holding your relics, you shouldn't have too much trouble. And especially if you're trying to bait this Cupid in, right? If you're saying, hey, you've got a better matchup, maybe you'll get a little over aggressive. Maybe you'll step up and try and get some Fields of Love. That opens up the gank potential for the Mercury. I'm not sure if the Wardens are playing 4D chess that hard. Like, let's pick a not so great matchup so that we can bait you in. It could be the call Either way, it's going to put that Cupid out of position if he wants to get aggressive, which will open up the doors for the jungle of the Wardens.
Hell, banned out by the Scorpions. Maybe they were watching some of the highlights. That was the one that you skipped over, but because everybody's been playing Hell, not just
Right.
Moswal, so it wasn't as interesting. Some of the other ones. And there's the Plosh ban, which I guess is a cheer because, like, yay, he showed up on the screen, but a boo because that means Moswal's not playing it, so we'll see where he's going. He's having a laugh, though, so I don't think he's too worried about that getting banned away. With Set banned alongside Discordia, that is going to be 3 mid laners taken off the board. Scorpions lock in the Ymir. And look, and I'm going down this. Eset, Cupid, King Arthur, Ymir. That's just a solid draft from the Scorpions.
That's just a lot of
a lot of
top-tier
good.
picks. Yeah, I mean, and now we even get to see the Eset in the mid-roll, given the fact that Ymir is more than likely going to support. So that even solidifies it for me because, I always like to harp on the fact that you don't have too much objective confirm when it is support, but I love seeing the full damage Eset. The Aaru Scorpions are drafting after my heart, I would say. Doesn't mean the Wardens aren't drafting well. The Xing Chen is also something that has been extremely prominent, and it's on the up and up, but they are holding on to a mage pick.
What will it be?
It's Merlin or Agni. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
That's it.
But that's just fun, man.
I mean,
I want the mystery, the
you
mystique.
You can't pick Vulcan into that comp. You cannot. You
well,
can't.
hold on, pause. You can. It's just a terrible idea.
Right, yeah. and I think on Elimination Day in particular, you cannot be picking Vulcan because Fields of Love, you can't use your best tool of damage. You can't backfire at all because you're in the cripple. Hamstring from Arthur, you still can't backfire.
But hear me out.
Okay, go ahead.
How the mental game.
Right.
If everything you're highlighting, right, it's just a terrible pick.
Yeah.
Moswal locks it in. Does that put you in shatters, or are you just laughing at him?
I mean,
and you're in the other booth.
If I'm the Scorpions, I'm laughing. But if it's me in particular,
so it doesn't like shatter anybody. Seeing Moswal on Vulcan, despite it being bad, wouldn't do anything mentally to you. It just
Well, I think until I got to see play on field, that would change up a bit. I'd be like, oh man, how's he making this work? See, he hovered Merlin when Agni. I told you, there's only 2 options. Like, I mean, they banned Hell and Outpost. They really zeroed him in on exactly what they wanted. Either way, we saw how much damage.
God.
And Nemesis makes it this far into the draft.
What a wild! Listen, the Eset, Cupid, King Arthur, Ymir, and Nemesis. I don't know what the Scorpions just did, but they got to speedrun S tier gods.
I mean, they were facing the Wardens. That's what they did. The Wardens said top tier. We don't care about top tier. If Sino was here, we'd be playing Scotty Jungle. So they don't really care too much about that. They wanted the global presence for RelentlessOne, and it seemed like they wanted a hard carry for Elleon. And then Moswal said, give me the scraps. Like, I don't care if they ban 5 mages. I'll find something and still be able to make my presence known on that map.
What's his movement ability? Is it limited? No? I don't know. Maybe we need some non-cooldown on the dash. Yeah, give me the Agni. Look, it's going to be CC. Like you said, if you're looking for hard carry, you've got Ratatoskr for engage, Xing Chen for engage, Mercury for engage on the Wardens. Even though it's fun to poke at it and say, ha ha ha, it's not like the top of the draft like the other side has. I think that it's got a lot of good team fight potential. And then you mentioned like Mercury damage late game, Heimdallr damage late game, the setup that Agni brings with the bombs, the stun, the flame wave. It's not a bad draft by the Wardens by any means.
No, and I think it's a very Wardens draft as well.
Yes, they're playing themselves.
Right, and that's kind of the idea because they are playing with a sub jungler. This isn't Sino's version of SMITE. This is Elleon's version of SMITE. He's a shot caller at heart. So I think this draft is up his wheelhouse where he can, try and facilitate the rest of the squad on this Mercury and still let them feel comfortable on their style of pick. Moswal doing Moswal things, that's not too out of the ordinary, but RelentlessOne, again, on this Ratatoskr, has been able to find pressure against characters like King Arthur, where he probably shouldn't be able to find that pressure, but he still does just because he plays it so much and he does it so well.
It's fun to watch, right, when they get things like that. But after what we've seen King Arthur do this weekend, I think that's something to maybe be a teensy bit worried about.
Of course.
Overall. Look, Nemesis gets locked in towards the end. Jungle into this pick. Xing Chen's the only tanky target for her. How do you feel like she fits in against the Wardens?
I mean, look at what you said still rings true. The Scorpions just got a bunch of great gods. I just was highlighting the fact that the Wardens are they're fine with that. They got what they wanted, and then they're like, oh, we did give up a lot of good stuff, didn't we? Unfortunate. We're still going to have to play our best version of SMITE. SMITE. Objective fight still has to go to the Scorpions more often than not. If it's an even 5v5, circle protection and fields of love, throw shards of ice in there if you would like. Big circles, big damage. That seems to be the name of the game. And yeah, they still have a lot of avenues in. Their team fight is going to be extremely solid.
It's the simple question. Which team can do this better? Can the Wardens play the Wardens better?
Right.
Or can the Scorpions play the tier list better? There's no better way than to find out than by jumping into game number 1 with Dave and Spooky.
That's right, the Wardens trying to strike back for North America here after the Scorpions have won a couple of the sets so far today. One North American team, that's the Eldritch Hounds, moving on, of course, from the SEC. We might be getting a bit aggressive here for the Aaru Scorpions. No, just dropping a ward, backing our way away. And Spooky, we've got a great one here to end our day. One more elimination match up against a high expectation squad in the Kaolin Wardens. The Aaru Scorpions, also a team that have been playing a lot better Smite at their level of play over in the EU SEC. Should be a great one.
Should be a great one, but honestly, Dave, I'm still really disappointed that the Discordia got banned away.
What's the story behind that? Are we expecting disco support?
Maybe.
Is that a real thing?
It
You
could
asked.
be.
You asked about it, right?
Listen, if he decides to run it, it becomes a real thing. It's as simple as that. If we see
It's
it here,
theoretical until then.
it's theoretical until then. He said it was a possibility with the teleport. Banned away, not going to see that. I'm sad we don't see the teleport come out on the Ymir again. We saw that last time the
That's
Scorpions did play. It's going to be the shell to start things off, but what a nasty draft the Scorpions get away with. I mean, I know the desk was talking about it pretty much the entire time, but goodness, you look at how much teamfight potential there is for the Scorpions, how much objective gameplay there is. You got to wonder, how much do the Wardens have to fight back into that? You look at their team, they're looking a little bit more pick-oriented. You know, you start to worry if they don't find that early lead, things might look a little grim.
Yeah, it does feel like if you're a Scorpions fan or a player right now and you're looking at the draft that you got, I mean, that's top to bottom SPL, top tier quality draft that you've got for yourselves. And that's actually something we've seen some SPL pros talk about on Twitter this week, and we've seen some comments about it where it's felt like SEC teams maybe haven't given themselves the best chance in a couple of these games. This is one of the best looking SEC drafts we've gotten here this weekend. On the flip side, though, Spooky, I don't think the Kaolin Wardens, maybe tier list wise, a bit lower than what the Scorpions have got. But if you're looking at Wardens Smite and the way that they play Smite, I mean, you got a Mercury there for Elleon, and I think that's a great start to this draft, and Agni later on in the draft for Moswal as well. I think the individual pieces there could put together some aggression. Maybe you need to get the ball rolling early if you're the Wardens to try to just blow over the Scorpions early in the game.
For sure. I mean, the Wardens have drafted some very good early aggression.
Yeah.
This Mercury definitely wants to get rolling as early as possible, and we know that Elleon is more than capable of doing that. With the Ratatoskr in that solo lane, there's some extra aggression there across the map, and it really widens your options, right? Does Elleon want to go mid and utilize the Agni? Maybe. Or he can go over to this right side, utilize the Ratatoskr's early game power, and get his ball rolling that way.
Well, don't you worry. We'll get into game number 1 between the Kaolin Wardens and the Aaru Scorpions. Taking a quick break. When we come back, game number 1. We're back for game number 1 between the Kaolin Wardens and the Aaru Scorpions. Rest easy. We have not missed anything as the game just now beginning. And now we can take a wider look here, Spooky, at a lot of the drafts. And actually, we can take a closer look at exactly what happens here. I'm thinking, oh, Ymir on a purple buff. That's pretty standard. But a unique start. Predss invading the Kaolin Warden side of the map, takes away the purple, and then backs off and helps Davy pick up the purple of their own.
Yeah, who needs a green buff? This early in the game, it's not really doing all that much for you. Besides, the green buff doesn't matter if the other team just doesn't have the buff of their own. So
That's right.
get yourself a little bit of extra XP. More importantly, deprive the Wardens of a little bit of extra XP. Because as we were talking about there, Dave, the Wardens are a team that want to get a little bit more active in this early game. So if you can slow that down with these early buff invades, that could go a long way to facilitating the Scorpions playstyle.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, that's small amounts of XP. Davy hits 2 first. Waves about even. Just wondering, you know, with level 2, especially like at level 5, how does that change? Well, a dash in from Davy and a Bifrost out from oGryph. So it looks like experience-wise, though the wave was cleared a little bit faster. Predss and Davy off to a good start. Elleon,
Check it out.
level 2 gank on the Mercury. We're used to wait until level 5, get the Sonic Boom, fly down one of the lanes, and get things going. And I actually think that's a pretty good topic of conversation here. It's that level 5 mark for Elleon when Sonic Boom is there. Sonic Boom just creates such a difference in mindset for all of the laners of the Aaru Scorpions. Just have to have such a better wherewithal of exactly where that Mercury is. And the pressure on beads should be pretty high.
Most definitely, and Elleon is already trying to get active before this level 5 comes around. Might see another gank coming here. He's in position. Will he step up, though?
Do they have enough lockdown? I mean, Elleon needs to get something done here because, I mean, he's been just roaming. I haven't seen him actually farm up a camp here in a minute or two. And has fallen 1 level behind Sarpeii. Was really hoping to get something going for the Wardens over on left. That 1 level experience lead for Davy could have been evened out, but not there. And I mean, what's worse, now it's Sarpeii invading the Kaolin Warden side of the jungle. Just a couple of camps getting taken away, but RelentlessOne loses the blue buff, it looks like. Sarpeii grabs a nice advantage there. And so it's not been an early laning or an easy early laning phase for RelentlessOne on this Ratatoskr, and it's just a little bit of jungle pressure from Sarpeii and King Arthur doing King Arthur things.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised that we don't see Elleon a little bit more focused on this right side this early in the game. You know, Ratatoskr, yes, he's good in the early game, but he's going up against the King Arthur. That's the premier solo laner right now, right? If King Arthur is not banned in your game, he's getting picked in your game. And it's because of the pressure that he has. He's a blatant bully. He's going to be exerting that on your enemy opposer. And a nice little stun comes out on Geno. Not too much to worry about there just yet. But the fact that RelentlessOne isn't even able to step up to that blue buff, because Elleon is kind of making these weird little drifts in the duel, and he's not really committing to anything over there. He's able to get back up to level 4 here. The question is, does he keep doing that? Does he keep looking for these opportunities on the left side? If he does, he's got to make sure he's finding value off of it. Otherwise, Scorpion's just going to repeat these invades constantly onto this right side and find more and more value and try to put themselves a little bit further up so they can try to outscale the Wardens as quickly as possible.
Right, might be a slight XP gap for Sarpeii over Elleon, maybe half a level now, as Elleon's been able to back away, farm up just fine. RelentlessOne had to burn the TP earlier on, and already down to half HP, and BevyMonstaa just hasn't gone back to base yet. And so you're right, maybe a bit of presence needed from Elleon on the right side of the map, as level 5 is now reached from this Mercury. And I think level 5, not only for Mercury, you're not gonna, I guess you won't see these massive rotations out from RelentlessOne, but sudden engage seems to be a big threat here for the Kaolin Wardens against the Aaru Scorpions as well. Not only for Elleon, but RelentlessOne as well. That double sudden backline dive should make some waves. Right now it's diving on to Sarpeii and BevyMonstaa. Elleon would love to confirm the blue buff, which he is able to do so. And an ultimate down from Sarpeii and Bevy. It's a little bit of poking and prodding, but it ends up being a confirmed blue buff by Elleon and RelentlessOne.
Yeah, that's a nice little win there for the Wardens in the early game. Sure, you know, maybe nothing really happened there, but you've secured your blue buff. You've taken 2 ults away from the Scorpions. That feels good. Sarpeii won't have that Divine Judgment available for a little bit longer, which means your tanks are going to feel a little bit more comfortable starting to look at these aggressive plays. If we're talking about aggressive plays, it's the Scorpions stepping forward and actually looking for the Scorpion. A little bit of cannibalism there. Just eating it alive.
Unlucky. That means well, I guess, does that mean they should secure all of them or they shouldn't secure all of them? I don't know. I guess it depends on which side of that argument
Depends
you're
how
on.
hungry they are.
At any rate, the Scorpions do invade and secure the Greater Scorpion. Start off this game. Leon looking for a Sonic Boom, and it's just too far to the right, but the toss back is good, and Geno is here as well. BevyMonstaa drops for first blood, but a blink in from Sarpeii, and an Ice Carpet down, but a double Whirlwind of Rage and Steel from Geno ushers his jungler away, and that's first blood to the Kaolin Wardens.
Elleon didn't even look at that engagement. He just trusted Geno to be able to disengage there. That man just backed behind the blue buff wall. He said, it's not my problem. You guys got this. I'm going to head back to base. I think that's a great call. It gets him back into this jungle a little bit faster, back on his timers. He's going to go ahead and catch up now. He's a level up on Sarpeii, who's been trying to fight back against the Wardens a little bit from their early aggression. And now things are starting to look a little bit better for the Wardens. This is the game plan that they want to see. Get Elleon active in the early. Sure, it's only an assist, but he's got his Golden Blade online. That means he's going to be clearing these camps very, very quickly. He's going to be able to make these rotations, and we're starting to see that Sonic Boom come out a little bit more effectively. You don't always have to land it directly on the target. As long as it gets you to the target and you've got backup there, well, you can see how much value that brings.
I mean, you'd love to hit it, but absolutely don't need to. I wonder what type of build Leon will go towards. We'll keep our eyes on that as the game goes on. I'm a big fan of just the one-punch crit style of build. You get Rage, maybe Deathbringer a bit later on. If Leon thinks might not have enough time to chain together a lot of auto attacks. Looks like maybe some purple buff pressure here from the Wardens, but it's going to be a little while here before it respawns, so you don't want to spend too much time hanging out. It's going to give an opportunity for the Aaru Scorpions to rotate through, or is it Predss who's in trouble? Ultimate from Gryph connects, and Davey 1v3ing at the moment. Predss doesn't have a leg to stand on, but has a wall to throw up, and the damage has been blocked off from the back end of this fight. Instead, Elleon with the 1-2 punch drops Predss, and that's not all that sneaky. That's just a clean kill from the Wardens.
I'm surprised that he stuck around for so long. Geno might get stunned out. No stun on the heart bomb, so he's all good. But I'm surprised Predss stuck around that purple buff for so long. Like you said, it wasn't coming up for a little while yet. They could have just walked away and said, okay, Wardens, yeah, good luck taking that one. We got your number. It's going to be there in a little bit here. Instead, he stays around there. He's not in position with iDavy there. So the spread from Scorpions is what really condemns Predss there. Now we're still seeing more aggression come through as we're trying to pressure this red buff. Luckily, Scorpions are able to get that one for themselves. A little bit more of a response to that one. We see multiple members show up, and that's what we need to see around these invades.
Looks like Leon might be under Rage. Second item here. Shows he might want to be all over the map. RelentlessOne initiated on by BevyMonstaa, but of course, as Ratatoskr does, goes up to the branch, crashes away, and feels A-okay with his chances to survive, and even has teleport. Wants to make his way back to lane a little bit quicker. So if it does end up being Rage early on here from Elleon, which I have to imagine it would be to get those stacks rolling early, does that tell you he wants to just keep spamming these ultimates, keep finding pressure for his team?
Oh, for sure. Elleon is a very aggressive player. Might have to pull that thought, though, because here's Sarpeii once again.
And RelentlessOne doesn't have ultimate to get out this time. The slow will stick, but so will the stun. And Geno is rotated over from dual lane once again. A nice wall from Predss, but now is the target even this Ratatoskr? No, it's not. And Geno has just been a life raft for the Kaolin Wardens so far this game. Happens for Elleon a minute ago over by the blue buff, and now Geno on the Xing helping RelentlessOne survive, but is Geno going to be in range to help out Moswal? No, but Moswal won't need it.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that we see the Scorpions continuously go back to RelentlessOne on the Ratatoskr. he's been able to get away so effectively so many times, and that's partly because of Geno, and that's partly just because RelentlessOne is a slippery dude on this God pick. Once again, though, some more action on this blue buff.
Wow, it has just been right side dominant so far this game. Oh, the wall nearly perfect from Predss. RelentlessOne so close to getting that ultimate back. Not sure, if he's going to have time to use it. Won't even need to use it, and RelentlessOne simply dashes away. Ratatoskr just so slippery, but Moswal with a stun onto Predss, and Geno, the last one, chasing him down. Whoa, hello, Sonic Boom over onto Pikarino on right. Moswal drops the bombs from the heavens and picks up the 3rd kill of the game for the Kaolin Wardens. It has been an onslaught from the Wardens, spearheaded by Elleon and Geno, and then knocked down this time by Moswal.
All right, Dave, look, if something isn't quite working for you, there comes a time when you have to start reimagining things, try a different approach. This constant aggression onto RelentlessOne is not working out. Even in that last fight, if you notice, the Scorpions, they had a target, and it was RelentlessOne that they were trying to chase out. Elleon, he was fine. He was in the back. They could have turned on him and tried to slow down the Mercury. They opted not to. They allowed RelentlessOne to take their attention and pull them away from the rest of the fight. If I'm the Scorpions, right now I'm looking more towards Moswal in this mid lane, or even Griff in the side lane over on the left side. Moswal is probably the easiest target to lock down, especially with this Ymir that Predss is piloting. Throw a wall up, block the path of flames. Moswal can't do anything about that. That makes him a perfect target to just go in on. He doesn't have the ability to just cross the map like Ratatoskr, and Geno's been heavily prioritizing this right side of the map. You're not going to get a clean engagement either way. You just need to pick a little bit of an easier target, I think.
And man, I mean, you're talking about looking towards Moswal, and I agree. Moswal's built up this 2-level lead, and so the Agni is looking mighty strong at this point in the game. A Staff of Mirrodin completed, so you get a little CDR with the Sands of Time, Warlock Staff stacking up, and then a great synergy item with the Staff of Mirrodin. Kaolin Wardens, yes, you've gotten kills, but can you convert it into objectives? The answer is yes. Pyromancer, now confirmed by the Wardens. That's an aggressive dash forward from Griff, but a defensive dash backwards from Davy. And it's well timed. Look, Davy hasn't been able to go back to base, and so as a full Aussie up was Griff. Davy really needed to be careful. Will RelentlessOne fall? Have to imagine not with the ultimate, but it's these next couple of minutes. Leon finishes the rage, would love to get some stacks going.
And now with the Wardens being 3 kills in the lead, they've translated that to about a 3,000 gold lead in their favor. Maybe just a little bit under that. You can see it right there.
Real experience, though.
This experience is getting really insane. And it's because the amount of rotation the Scorpions are doing are not paying off. And now the Wardens get to look at a second objective for free.
Wow, the burn is just too fast. And that shows you a level of confidence in the way that the game is going, right? Because Pikarino's got a circle of protection on the other side. Predss has his ultimate. He can detonate around a target, so there is objective steal potential from the Scorpions, and the Wardens simply don't care. They pull it, Scorpions don't show up, and it's gotten a bit out of hand. Could get worse, though. Over in the mid lane, double Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Circle protection down in the back from Pikarino. And that is it, but Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, Circle protection, ends up being the big trade. However, Pikarino did lose beads, it looks like. Regank opportunity for the Wardens in mid.
Yeah, if I'm the Wardens, that's just a big W for me. I would rather be able to pull out the Circle of Protection and beads than hold on to the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Yes, it's a valuable ultimate, but he got so much out of that. Moswal was able to just walk away, not care about anything the Scorpions were doing. It's just starting to look a little bit dangerous for the Scorpions here. And you take a look at the roster of the Wardens, right? And you have to take into consideration the veteranship that's on this list. Elleon, Moswal, NotGeno, all of these players have been around the block for quite some time, and it's showing in the confidence of their gameplay. They're not afraid to step up and see if the Scorpions have a response to what they're doing. And with the lead they have right now, even if the Scorpions do decide, okay, yeah, we're going to step up, we're going to see what you guys got, Wardens are more than happy just taking a fight to them and forcing the issue.
And this is something the Wardens needed to see from Leon the other day as well. I mean, a tough matchup into an SPL opponent, but this style of pick that allows Leon to facilitate the rest of the team and also put himself in a spot to carry some games later on. A great look. So gets the rage, more crit after that as well. Looks like hasn't gotten a stack on it yet, but I imagine just a matter of time until we see some fighting start to break out. So if you're the Aaru Scorpions, you're now down a few thousand gold. You're Surely not going to kill a RelentlessOne this time. I haven't been able to do it just yet, but you're able to force the ultimate. Where do you go on the map to start to limit this gold lead?
And they need to start looking for a way to be able to confirm this Pyromancer that's coming up. That means turning some attention maybe towards this right side, but more importantly than that, right? They have to put some pressure on these jungle camps. Slow Elleon down on his rotations, make sure he doesn't have as much farm. Additionally, you can start looking maybe over towards oGryph. Try to force him back out of lane. Davy is still even in that lane. There's no deficit there, which means it's probably one of your best ways to play through. Sure, your solo lane is even with RelentlessOne, but we've already seen how hard it is to lock him down. I see a little bit more of a skirmish dropping out here.
I want to see just how much damage Moswal is going to be able to do. Has to use the beads this time. Double Whirlwind of Rage and Steel from Geno. Sends a couple members of the Scorpions back towards the Wardens, but Elleon too low to reinitiate. And I say that about Moswal because he is 2 to almost 3 levels ahead of Pikarino, depending on where the waves crash and where the farm is. And also gold-wise, you know, you look at the gold charts, yeah, about 4,000 ahead of the Wardens. But Moswal, I believe, is about a full 1,000 of that ahead of Pikarino. I mean, it is just not super close over in mid. Actually, it's gotten worse than that. 1.3K just on Moswal over Pikarino. So it feels like, Spooky, if you can fight around this Agni, you should have a pretty good look at a team fight if you're the Wardens.
Oh, for sure. Moswal is absolutely where they want him to
Soul
play
Reaver
around right
wow.
now. And the good thing about this Agni is that he can really go to either side of the map that they want to play around. With this Pyromancer coming up, it's probably going to be the right side. And with the way the Scorpions have been playing so far, this might be the right side as well. But take a look. Davy might be in danger.
It's what we've wanted to see. Just pokes his head around the corner. Davy gets back to the tier 1 tower. So, unfortunately for us, Elleon will pump the brakes, but probably the smart play. I don't know if you want to be tower diving a Cupid with ultimate and beads and shell.
What could go wrong?
Already, yeah. Nothing could happen to Elleon. Can't be that hungry for the rage stacks. And you're right, though. I mean, the Pyromancer should be maybe the next big objective that the Kaolin Wardens end up rotating towards and looking towards. But do you get the feeling, and the desk sort of talked about this, with the quality of draft that the Scorpions have, do you think there's a timer on this match? Have the Wardens done enough to this point in the game to keep the Aaru Scorpions in a really tough spot later in the game?
I think right now, as long as the Wardens continue applying the same pressure they've had all game, they should be fine for a good majority. They should be able to close this game out before the Scorpions reach that point, especially if Predss gets caught like this.
Wow, last bomb doesn't hit from Moswal, but a whole lot of damage does. RelentlessOne has ultimate. Let me flip back the pages in my book here. Gank the Ratatoskr, and the Ratatoskr dashes away. So it's been, yeah, it doesn't even need to this time, and might actually be able to use the ultimate around this Pyromancer if the Scorpions answer, which they do not. And so more gold to the Kaolin Wardens. And this is such a unique place because there's only 3 kills on the board for the Wardens right now, but they have been non-stop as far as applying pressure and finding the big objectives to look towards. It's been like this weird hybrid of EU and NA SEC style of SMITE where every objective has been cleanly taken by the Wardens, but with a lot of kill pressure that's been put out, just hasn't converted into a lot of kills up to this point in the game. But it's been perfectly played by the Wardens now. I wonder if the Aaru Scorpions feel like they can let this next Oni Fury go, or if you need to step up.
So the weird thing that's happening right now is that the Wardens are stepping up around these objectives, right? They're playing for the objectives. The Scorpions, they're not really responding that much. Predss will get caught out, he'll get poked down. Might come back to that in just a moment because Predss just walled himself in.
Is this where the Scorpions can answer back? Predss would say no, because RelentlessOne drops down. And Predss finally, I mean, this Ymir has been low so many times, and there's finally a second kill onto the Ymir from the Kaolin Wardens. Oni Fury is pulled, and as we expect, they disengage from the Aaru Scorpions. This has got to be such a tough game, though, because this is a game where the Scorpions are just slowly being bled out. I mean, you've only lost a handful of kills. You've just got none of the neutral farm. You've got none of the jungle objectives. Just slowly, one by one, you're losing all of this golden experience, and the Wardens probably already at a spot where they're too strong to fight into as a 5v5.
First of all, Dave, if this was a disco support instead of Ymir, I guarantee the game would be 100% different. We'd have the teleport.
Yeah, the Wardens would be winning harder, right?
No. But if the Scorpions would just respond to some of these objectives that are happening, like we're seeing a little bit of aggression turn on to Moswal, but they can't follow through. Oh, that was a good stun.
Yeah, nice stun.
But they're not able to commit all the way to it. Elleon has no such problems.
Pikarino uses circle protection, gets minimal value. More of a slowdown than anything else. Fields of Love drops over from Davy, but a Whirlwind of Rage and Steel completed. The dashes both faceplant into the Ymir wall. The Scorpions, same page or not, doesn't work out this time. Shards of Ice used by Predss. Griff chasing down Sarpeii, desperate for one more axe to connect. But Sarpeii likely able to get a bit more farm and get out of this fight. So it ends up just being a one-kill fight. But all of the objectives, the pressure, still forced there for the Wardens, and a tier 1 tower in mid, and likely one on left will fall.
Now, one kill, but all the map pressure that you could ever hope for. And look at this. The Wardens, they don't care about the Scorpions too much right now. They're going to go ahead and rotate into this right side, strip away the farm. Might start setting up for this Fire Giant, take away the blue buff, get some wards down, and then once they reset, they're in a great position to start looking at this Fire Giant, force the issue. They still have some Oni minions over there on that right side, it's pushing towards the tier 2. It should be cleared out, but Wardens have basically just bought themselves so much time, so much presence on this map with just a single kill, that this game is starting to look very, very dangerous for the Scorpions. If I'm the Scorpions, and I'm looking at this 8k deficit in the gold, almost 10,000 in XP, I checked the timer. Okay, it's only 20 minutes. I'm not stepping up to this Fire Giant. No way, no how. It's not enhanced. It's not worth it. The tier 2s are going to go down either way. And if they step up to this fire, they're going to die. They don't confirm that objective. Even with the circle of protection, Pikarino is 3 levels down right now. She's just not going to be able to survive long enough to put that protection down.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's something I mentioned earlier on. The Scorpions, when the gold lead wasn't nearly this drastic, I figured we would see an attempt from Pikarino or Predss to steal away one of the, drop the circle protection, Shards of Ice, see what you can get done. Didn't see it at all. I agree. I think we're too far out at sea right now for the Scorpions to feel comfortable rowing their way into the Fire Giant. It's just going to get burnt down so quickly. The Wardens just can't do, and they are doing no wrong here this game. The Ratatoskr, despite immense amounts of pressure from the Scorpions, was able to not only survive in lane, but get to a really good spot here at 2-0-2. And finally a rage stack, by the way, for Elleon. It had been a minute, despite a lot of pressure being applied by the Mercury. I wonder how the Wardens are able to respond to this. A Cupid pushing down a tier 1 tower on the left side of the map. Can the Wardens immediately answer and go to the Fire Giant? Looks like the answer is yes. But to your point, Spooky, maybe it's the best the Scorpions could do. If we're not stepping up to try to contest getting a tier 1 tower on the left side of the map, maybe a tier 2 is just simply the best that the Scorpions can do.
Yeah, this is definitely the right call from the Scorpions. They get a little bit of value out of this. They get some gold. They get some pressure on the map. It's not a lot. They're going to have to reset quickly. Predss has to burn the ult just to avoid the whirlwind coming out from Geno there. But now with this tier 2 under pressure, there's no way the Scorpions step up to defend this, right? They're still at too big of a deficit. It's about 9,000 at this point. But the Wardens, they're playing a little bit slower. They're not going to go right for this tier 2. They're going to go ahead and maybe confirm this Pyromancer first, get all the objectives off the map, and then start looking at these structures.
And another clean SEC team here. At least in game number 1, the Scorpions, a very resilient squad, absolutely earned their way here to SMITE Summer Masters, but the Wardens in game 1 just looking like the better team, despite having a more unique composition. But again, it's the Warden style of play that this composition brings. Scorpions got to be careful here. There's nothing for the Scorpions to fight over. You don't want to overextend just trying to chase out Geno, but RelentlessOne has the opportunity to chase, has ultimate, and it looks like maybe a bit of a grouping from the Scorpions could open up to an initiation. Sarpeii, despite being a bit behind, feeling okay with the 1v1 against Elleon. RelentlessOne, though, dunks down to make it a pseudo 2v1 and just solos out Sarpeii. And the Wardens have found their pick and now can look at the tier 2s.
Yeah, tier 2s, they no longer exist on this map. The Scorpions have just got to have to bundle up and get under that Phoenix and just defend there. I'm expecting the Wardens to make a clean sweep of these tier 2s, but the way they're playing right now, they might just go straight for this mid lane Phoenix. They only have 3 members there. Elleon could rotate at any moment, though. Does not have the Sonic Boom up, but that's not stopping the Wardens.
Now, Elleon gets his health back as well. Good wall from Predss, does slow down the initial push in from the Kaolin Wardens. Leon is going to bring this left side wave into the tier 2 tower of the Wardens. As so often is, the early first Fire Giant of the game sets up for Phoenixes and base sieges later on. But there is still almost a full 2 minutes on this buff and just the one tier 2 tower remaining. But gotta be a lot of gold. Yeah, about 2,500 or so for everyone on the Wardens. Still in their back pockets.
So much.
Would have been the best chance, you know, as far as on-map gold. Wasn't there yet for the Wardens. Maybe Scorpions find a pick, but not to be. And Spooky, I think Scorpions probably in a spot to start discussing picks and bans for Game 2. The Scorpions are just so far ahead.
Yeah, this is about, what, 13,000 in favor of the Wardens? Like, that's unheard of. We're only 24 minutes in. We're not even at the 25-minute mark yet.
Yep.
There hasn't been a single EFG on the map, and all your Tier 2s, bar 1, are down. There's just not a whole lot that the Scorpions can do right now to find their way back into this game. Good news is, the XP gap is starting to matter a little bit less. The biggest one right now is Predss, still level 14, which just feels awful if you are the support player right now. Across the board, Scorpions are starting to hit level 20. They're shoring that up a little bit. But even that, at this gold deficit, this item disadvantage, it's not going to be enough to pull them back into this game. They're going to have to really hunker down. They're going to have to almost hope for a misplay from the Wardens, because that's where you're at right now. You're not winning the fight off of just good gameplay. You're winning the fight off of a little bit of sloppy gameplay from the enemy.
Well, it's entirely possible as well. I mean, between RelentlessOne and Elleon, totally possible to just be on a different page from your team and just do too much with your ultimate. So that is not out of the realm of possibility, but with the way the Wardens are playing right now, seems a bit less likely than it might normally. The Scorpions have been blanked here in Game 1 so far. I mean, a lot of pressure, remember, early on under RelentlessOne, just no kills dropping. You want to see just one go in at this point if you're the Scorpions. You'd hate for this game to end with nothing to show for it, but at the same time realizing you've just kind of been blown out in game number 1. The Wardens do only have 50 seconds remaining before the Fire Giant respawns, but looks like they want. This is maybe just to keep the Scorpions from getting any type of farm on the map. We are holding you back, and you better hope that our waves come in untouched. Otherwise, you guys are getting no gold.
And they've got this Trebuchet here to put a little bit more pressure on that Phoenix. It's not going to last for very long, but it is going to make the Scorpions respect it and take the time to clear it out before they're able to move forward. It does drop pretty quickly. Look at RelentlessOne. He doesn't care about anything the Scorpions have to offer. He's just minding his own business, clearing their speed camp right in front of them. There's 4 Scorpions there, and he just says, "Oh yeah, this is going to belong to me now."
Yeah, I'll take
by
it.
the way, this is actually just our second yellow buff. You guys can bill me later if you want to. Now, Fire Giant a little bit closer, still not going to be enhanced, which is the good news for the Scorpions. And Dave, honestly, even with all 3 Phoenixes exposed, I'm not sure the Scorpions are even looking at stepping up to this one. I might just be sending Davey down the left side and trying to pressure our own Phoenix.
Where do you draw the line, though? I mean, if you're not going to step up to this fire, I guess you better hope that your Phoenix Siege or your Phoenix defense or your Titan defense looks better. Because that's been the difficulty of this game, is the Scorpions have not drawn the line anywhere. It wasn't around any of the Furies, it wasn't around any of the Pyromancers, it wasn't on the first or the second Fire Giant, nor the Tier 2 towers. Is the line the Phoenix line? Is that where, I mean, you have to, right?
It's
I mean,
last place.
It's got to be. But does their defense look good? As far as composition goes.
They've got the Circle Protection, they got Fields of Love, and they have the Shards of Ice. They have the tools there to defend this Phoenix, but they have to be careful. They cannot allow themselves to throw those ultimates out too early. Otherwise, the Wardens will just make a semi-engage. They'll step forward, they'll see what the Scorpions are willing to commit to defending, and then they'll step out. They'll let that Fire Giant passively heal them back up, and they'll say, okay, what do we have? What do the Scorpions have? All right, what else can we get? Fields of Love go down, Circle Protection goes down. That's when the Wardens are going to commit. So the Scorpions have to make sure that they're not burning those until the Wardens are all the way in there.
Here's the game plan, and I figured it out. They don't want to give Leon any rage stacks, so the Scorpions have just not allowed any fighting to happen. Unfortunately for the Scorpions, we are fighting, and Moswal drops the hammer! My God, a double kill on the back line of the fight, and the Agni has brought it to the Scorpions. Goodbye, Scorpions. Triple kill for Moswal, and the Kaolin Wardens will clean up the other 2. And the Kaolin Wardens blank the Scorpions in game 1.
That is just how the game goes. If you give up every single major objective on the map, Scorpions, they committed way too much time trying to kill RelentlessOne again and again and again, and they never found any success with it. Their unwillingness to adapt and move that game plan to the other side of the map, or literally anywhere else on the map, is what I feel really cost them this game. They weren't able to step up to a Pyromancer, they couldn't step up to any of the Go Furies, and then the Fire Giants just go for free.
I mean, this is a game one where you have a completely active team in the Kaolin Wardens, and then a team who is just playing Smite, right? They are existing on the map, and the Kaolin Wardens simply taking it to the Aaru Scorpions. Moswal really impressed me here this game. The Agni scaled to a point, and it wasn't even late. I mean, it was like 2 levels from mid-game onward.
Level 12?
Level 12 to level 10, right? I think is where that started, and then at the end of the game there, the one shot of ultimates dropping on top of the Aaru Scorpions. I think got to be a mindset redraft from the Scorpions, which is hard to say because they got such a good draft in game one. Something maybe a bit more active early on.
I don't know if they need to maybe draft differently, but
the
mental definitely has
Play
to
better.
change. Play differently. Because you can't just give up everything on the map. That's what it boils down to. They never put up a single fight anywhere on the map except for that right side. It just doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, I mean, again, the line was just consistently being moved back, and then by the time the Scorpions wanted to step up and defend, they were way too far behind. The Kaolin Wardens take it to the Scorpions in game number 1. Game number 2, right after this.
Blink up, baby. You just hit my line for the wind down. There's only one thing on my mind when you come around me. I get lost in where you found me. Want you to use me. You let her confuse me. Don't wanna hide the fact that you make me feel that way. Want you to give me play. I see it in your eyes, you're lonely. Come put that body on me. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. Nobody do you like I will. I hit it right, I will. I treat you like I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. Pick up the phone, little baby. You got me open, I'm wavy. You know I want you to myself. You know you've been driving me crazy. Looking me right in the eye and tell me it's mine. If not, I'ma make it that way. You know I want you in a major way. I bless that body, make you share your grace. I've been trying to get you face to face. I fall through and give you ways to waste. I do what it takes. I make them walls sing on your heartstrings. Say you want me. I'll treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I'll treat you right, I will. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. I'll treat you right, I will. I hit it right, I will.
What's up, Smite fans? Dolson here, and Season 9 of the SPL is shaping up to be maybe the best ever. And to help us get there, we're partnering with Alienware to provide us, our players, the production team, with state-of-the-art gear to make this year one of the best yet. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear what the pros have to say.
As a professional player, it's super important to make sure that you just have the absolute highest quality gear and peripherals that you can ever get. And having an Alienware PC has completely upped our game here at the SPL.
It's really nice being able to play from the same PC from home into the studio, and I highly, highly recommend it. It feels great to play on.
So I really enjoyed using Alienware computers because, one, I'm a streamer, content is my job, and the power of the Alienware PCs is like amazing. It's perfect for everything that we need to do.
I stream 1080p, no problem. I have no issues with FPS, no frame lag or anything like that.
64 gigabytes of RAM is just something that you can only dream of, and like it helps so much with processing like anything that you need to perform, like multitasking, whether it's streaming, recording, gaming, like everything all at once, and it's been a very smooth experience.
As someone who doesn't enjoy building my own PC, the Alienware's kind of got everything in one machine. It was super easy.
I really like the pre-built Alienware as well because it's really hard to get a graphics card on the market currently.
A 3090 is like impossible to obtain, so being able to play on it has been honestly a very lucky experience.
Back in the day, I used to game and do all my content on a really pathetic laptop, and once I actually was able to get an Alienware PC, there's just no turning back.
For a lot of players that were used to just their home setups and maybe didn't have top quality products, going to such a huge upgrade with our Alienware PCs has just absolutely increased the quality of our practice.
I'm just a big fan of Alienware. I think they're the top of the line PCs literally for a reason.
It's definitely the best PC I've ever had by a long way.
Shoutouts to Alienware, great company, love them a lot.
And I have nothing but praise for the product.
That's high praise from some of the best gamers in the world. So thanks again to Alienware for powering us this year in Season 9 of the SMITE Pro League. And remember, if you want to get your hands on some of the gear that our pro players play on, make sure to check out Alienware on all of their socials and at their website as well.
I think if I didn't have my Alienware, I would go out and purchase one right now.
Well, the Wardens find themselves 1-0 over the Scorpions. And Trelly, that's 0. That's not just right there. That was in-game in the kill board as well. The Scorpions blanked here in game number 1. The Wardens, look, it was the discussion coming into the Scorpions get the meta drafts, the power picks. The other side, they get the Warden picks.
Yeah, exactly.
They get their your Mercuries, your Heimdalls, your Agnis, things that nobody else is really playing. And it turns out the Wardens play the Wardens better than the Scorpions play the meta.
Yeah, that was a good way to phrase that, and something that we touched on. I mean, more so me. You were more so just like listening as I said this, so this isn't exactly Gore's opinion, but they banned Alpwash?
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying the whole thing, and I'm like, really? So I just wasn't there for that picks and bans,
I'm saying like
is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying they.
Yeah, Gore was just there, by the way.
I'm saying that I didn't want to put your opinion on something that you didn't agree with. So my opinion is that they banned Alpwash to let Moswal have that performance on Agni. Like, it would have been easier to kill an Alpwash, right? Agni was a little bit more survivable. That's just my mindset because it just seemed like, so much damage coming out from this Agni, as well as no kills throughout this set. And I didn't want to put the Gore stamp of approval on something that I didn't have the Gore stamp of approval
I appreciate that. You know what? Good looking out.
Yeah, of course.
Instead, I'm going to give a Gore stamp of approval to Leon's Mercury because
it
was really good. Again, maybe not a high kill count game for either of these squads, and so it's going to be something, I want to say, somewhat sporadic. But the Agni goes pretty big in a lot of those fights, and I think you'll see it not just here, but towards the end as well. I think that, like you said, it's like, oh man, yeah, you banned the Alpwash for this, huh? And yeah, I can agree with that sentiment. So here's your Gore stamp of approval on that one. Ratatoskr first pick. Look, if you lock something like that in early, you got to make it look good. RelentlessOne did that. The Wardens, look, man, I don't know how to. There's only so many words and so many descriptors to say, hey, they played better than you. And that's what game number 1 was. So I guess instead we'll swap. Instead of singing the praises of the Wardens, I'll ask you, What can the Scorpions do? How do you stop that from happening twice?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, there's no data to go off of after what we just watched, right? There's not a small adjustment to be made because everyone except for Gryph on the Wardens, I mean, they were able to find kills, right? Gryph was just an 007. He's like, you know what? I'll get my assist.
He wanted to be James Bond. He's truly undercover here.
Nice. I didn't even realize that. He did go 007 there. Did a fair bit of damage given the fact that there wasn't too much team fighting happening.
Yeah.
But either way, was not able to find the kill. Just kind of sat back and let the team do what they needed to do. So, you know, it's not any one little tweak that's going to really solve how this game went. However, I think the Aaru Scorpions what they can do is have a short memory, number one. You know, don't dwell on game one too much. And number two, you're going to have to switch up the draft to shut down, I mean, the aggression from what we just witnessed. I don't think RelentlessOne on the Ratatoskr is going to be too easy to deal with because it seemed like, you know, every once in a while we'd see Sarpeii head over to that or to the solo lane and try and find a gank, but the Rat, just having so much global presence, was never able to find a kill.
Well, the good news is we can figure out what they're thinking of swapping as we jump into Picks and Bans. Game number 2 here. I bumped my umbrella. Scorpions, first pick this time around. I was going to ask, with Cabrakan, Chernobog, Lancelot as the bans. You know, your first pick, you're willing to let one of those through to try and pick them up. I was going to say, which one do you try and replace? They just banned the Ratatoskr immediately, and they're still going to continue with the Cabrakan. So RelentlessOne is not going to get the opportunity to just run this one back. I guess too impactful for the Scorpions, don't want to deal with it again.
Yeah, it seemed like Sarpeii wanted to play with that solo lane, and with that global presence, there was just no gank opportunity. This was the one adjustment that I thought needed to be made, given the fact that there was really nothing that was working for the Aaru Scorpions in that match. This is a good place to start. Right now, you've shut down a little of that global presence. Maybe your solo lane will be easier to gank, and you also get to grab that Chernobog for yourselves. I think the Aaru Scorpions already getting off to a better start.
Yeah, feel pretty good about that. Look, global rotation area power and one of the best hunters in the game. Yeah, absolutely want to scoop that one up. Xing was banned on the other side. Last time it was Khepri Daji Yamoja. So Daji available in a matchup where she has not been, and in a week where she really has not been allowed to play too often. Thunder and lightning! But it's a chalk. Trelly. Hold on. It might not be Chungle.
No, it's definitely not, because RelentlessOne has played the chalk. I exhaled as you looked at me, but there is no way.
I was like, Trelly we don't need the rant yet. Give the rant about 2 more picks, then we'll be certain. Cupid gets locked in alongside that, and so it is a C-heavy comp so far for the Wardens, but Cupid, one of the top picks. Chalk, like you said, something RelentlessOne has played over there in solo. And normally I would start asking you and you know, conversationally trying to bring up whether or not you think that this is a pick worthwhile.
Do you even know who you're
it's
fighting?
not really that meta, blah, 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 but they just showcase that they don't need something that's meta. Instead, on the other side, they're going to be playing into a Daji and a Bellona. So how do you feel about the top 2 versus the top 3 so far?
Yeah, I actually do like the chalk as a solo laner up into this matchup because you can build fairly hybrid. You have a ton of auto attacks slow with the rain into the Chernobog, the Daji, and the Bellona, who aren't going to appreciate that. And you also have that Storm Call for the CC immunity when need be. So I'm never going to be one to hate on this.
You know, Trelly, I might need you to put some respect on the jungle. It only played 1 game today, and it did win, okay?
All right, well, it played a couple games the other day, and it did win. And, you know,
you know what? We ignore that.
We
like,
had
in favor of
Deathwalker
stats,
on the interview.
He was
and
1 out of
like,
1 today.
We had Deathwalker say, like, we just wanted to get a win on it, now we're never going to play it again. Well, he didn't say never. You know, you never want to reveal that you're never going to play the jungle. You know, maybe some bans could come its way, but I don't think that we're seeing the jungle.
What it sounded like was that the team wasn't very into that pick, but Johnny loves it.
Yeah, that seemed that's what I took from that as well. And given, you know, the fact that this is Elleon, what are the odds that he just goes man Conceptor jungle Sylvanus? I mean, he's played it mid, he's played it in support. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays it jungle.
What I sincerely hate is that is a conversation that has actually come up in like full, like earnest, serious discussion of, you know, it could and might just happen because it is something that we have seen in the past. The Sylvanus in the mid specifically, like you had said, but if you've watched Leon stream at any point, you'll see that there's definitely some wild picks out there that happen. We'll figure that one out based on these last 2. It's not going to be a Raven or a Mercury. That's guaranteed. Scorpions ban that out. Morgan and Discordia banned out by the Wardens. Huang gets locked in, and Trelly?
Show me one more Guardian,
I was going to
baby.
say, what's wild is I don't know if this is a Chalk jungle, a Sylvanus jungle. Like, nothing about the Wardens has been truly solidified yet.
I love that I have already taken my stand against the jungle, but I'm actively rooting for the Sylvanus jungle. Like, where do I stand on, like, meta picks? I just think that Sylvanus jungle, it has worked. I mean, Chinfu's played it in the league, and he's popped off on this pick. So in the NASCC, I should say, has found some success.
Well,
But
good news, Wardens are NASCC.
Right, so you are in a elimination point where obviously the Wardens are up 1-0, so they're not. They have some breathing room here, but I don't think you want to gamble with your chances. If you're not 100% confident on the Sylvanus jungle, I don't think you lean towards it. For my money, I'm still very confident that Chalk's going to RelentlessOne, but now it's time for the Aaru Scorpions to show us what they're going for here. Notably, still need a possible mid laner, unless that Chernobog will be piloted by Pikarino, which he has played before. Still need some magical damage either way. And there is a fair bit of options open. I like the fact that the Wardens banned the Morgan, because double dodgy is something that no one wants to deal with. Give the Chernobog ultimate over to the Morgan as well, and that comp starts to look real gross. So definitely a smart call to take that pick away.
Yeah, from what we've seen in the past, whew, that gets dirty, that gets fast. And the rotations that it can make. I mean, we've seen one-on-one, like just 1v1s, maybe a simple jungle gank over in solo lane, turn into a 4-on-1 fight just by having a Morgan transform into a Chernobog and jump all the way over there. Yeah, it can be a very frustrating factor to be on the other side of you, Huang. Though, well, let's talk in realms of absentatively. That is that Yu Huang exists in this game, will be mid lane, presumably, and is going to then be able to deal with a dodgy pretty easily, right? Like you've got that CC immunity pretty baked into your kit. Cupid is going to be the one that is the most concerning, I think, on this team, right? Like no CC immunity, dodgy anytime they make their way over there. Feels like it could be a pretty heavy flex for the Scorpions to try and take control.
Yeah, I mean, you have to hold on to your beads when you're dealing with the Pal out here, because Cupid has no form of CC immunity, in the kit at all. So you got to be watching out for that. But I think the Wardens have seen that dodgy and, drafted accordingly. They know what they're going to be going for there.
Well, I'm excited to see what they're going to be doing here. So you guys know, it's going to take a little longer to get back through it. One of the players' games crashed, so we're going to be letting them run through, get the picks and bans. Everything's going to be the exact same, though, up to that point. And so it's going to take a couple more minutes before we jump into the game. But with Yu Huang locked in, and again, since everything's going to be the same, you've got the spreadsheet open over there, right? Because I've got everything locked in. You got to have it in your noggin. I'm about to ask you questions.
This is the spreadsheet right
here. Oh yeah?
Yeah, I have nothing written down. What do you need?
Charlie doesn't need any of your fancy computers, man. He's got it all up here.
Cherno, Daji, Bellona. Other side, we got the Sylvanus, who we were debating on where that pick was going to be going. Obviously, the Chalk that I didn't want to see Chungle, certainly going over that solo lane. Of course, the Yu Huang was locked in, and we've already been talking about the Cupid. What next?
Damn, he's got it all, bro. What am I even here for, dude? Am I necessary? Either, man, I had a question. It's all gone.
Sorry.
I don't even deserve this umbrella, dude.
What? No.
No, I don't.
It looks so good.
Man. So, how about that draft? Well, you said it. You said all the names. You did it. You nailed it. Chernobog, Daji, Bellona, right? Again, I want my umbrella back.
Yeah, I thought so. It looked good.
But the other thing is that we are coming. I'm not going to be able to do that without paying attention to it. So I'll ask my question first.
Go ahead.
Those are all very meta.
Right.
Scorpions just played it. Did not necessarily look great on
I mean, they didn't get a kill. I think it's fair to say.
It's pretty easy. But, these are definitely big changes, right? Nemesis to Dodgy is going to be maybe a little more active early on.
For sure.
Your King Arthur, I feel like that one was a Ratatoskr diff, not a King Arthur diff.
Yeah.
But actually kind of interesting that he got glanced over here, and so far in this matchup that he's just not being looked at entirely. But, now with the Cupid changing hands, the Chernobog being over there, we've seen a couple of games today where Cupid's gotten the better end of a Chernobog, at least in lane. Chernobog can still out-rotate overall. How do you feel like these top three for the Scorpions just feel as a whole?
I mean, I think the Chernobog in particular opens up just gameplay options, right? Because if you're not winning team fights, you don't have to say, hey, guys, like I can't help in the team fight. You get the unique opportunity to say, I'm just going to stay in lane. You guys take them away from me. I'm going to get as much farm as possible. I'm going to push down some towers. I can still help you if needed to be. So I think the Chernobog just opens up some gameplay mechanics for the Aaru Scorpions.
All right, well, we're getting into that remake as soon as we can, guys. But for now, we're going to kick it to a quick break. And when we get back, we'll have game number 2. that, we are back and ready to jump back into it. I got my umbrella back up, although mine feels very forward heavy. Yours is like drink ready. How'd you do that?
Oh, is mine back?
There you go.
Oh.
Yours is like that. Like I'm trying to think. You know the umbrella hats, not the umbrella hats, the propeller hats.
Yeah.
Like they have. It's like a little like rainbow beanie. I don't know why. That's what I'm thinking about when I look at you.
Float
There you
away
go.
at any moment.
Either way, Scorpions, Wardens, again, coming back into this Chernobog, Dodgy, Bellona. Those were the top 3 that we got from the Scorpions. Chalk, Cupid, Sylvanus, and the Huang was on the other side. And with things like the Ratatoskr getting banned out, with theoretically some of the jungles maybe not being picked yet. Maybe it's a jungle. Maybe it's a Sylvanus jungle. We don't necessarily know for the Wardens. But with the Raven and the Mercury banned away, Lancelot gone, it feels like Leon, well, is not super limited, but is going to have to go to something new.
Yeah, something new, but I'm still actually kind of rooting for that Sylvanus. At this point, I think it takes you by surprise.
Jungle, no.
Yeah.
Sylvanus, yeah.
I mean, Sylvanus, he's got those AoE autos, man. That Mannequin Scepter, it'll get you.
It's going to be interesting to see whether or not that is the pick. That's going to be the question here. We won't find out until the Scorpions finalize their bottom 2. Trelly, there's a lot of good ones that could potentially come through. Ganesh, locked in, banned, I believe, in the 3rd
Tiamat.
Not someone that we see too often, but Ganesh. And now Tiamat, who has been making a big splash so far this week. Now, how do you feel about these two?
No way.
We'll let that hover for a second. How do you feel about the Ganesh and the Tiamat?
I mean, the Ganesh and the Tiamat are just great meta picks here that are able to control the matchup. I think that means the jungle, man. I really think that's just locked in.
All right,
the
so
jungle.
I'm going to give you 50-50. Do you think Leon wanted this, or do you think he heard you talking bad about it and wanted to show you that it could work?
Well, we did just pass him in the break room, and he said, we're going for the 2-0. That's what he told us. So if that's the case, he
so
must
do you
feel...
think he lied to you?
I definitely don't think he lied. I think his team thinks this is a great composition. And to be fair, it is very tanky.
Yeah.
They've got team fight ultimates. It's not like it's a bad draft. I've got my own personal vendetta with the jungle, and I'm sticking to it until I've been proven wrong. Of course, Johnny got the win on it.
Yeah,
Didn't mean
you've been proven wrong. It's not I'm going to stick to it until I'm proven wrong. You got proven wrong. It won earlier.
Yeah, it won a game. That doesn't mean it's
you're
good.
Right. Well, you know what? Let's see. We'll see right here. Look, he's got a big old silence, got a big old slow, and he's got a lot of damage. That's, people were, I think actually it was you when we were talking about it, was saying that it's easy damage to hit when you're playing on ping. And when you're not on ping, guess what? It's even easier to hit all of that. So I expect a lot out of this. Who knows? Maybe it's like a chalk support in Sylvanus jungle.
I mean, it could be. It could also be
I mean,
Kaolin
that's
jungle at this point. What is there to?
Sure.
What do you got to lose besides?
Charlie, hold on. Let me ask you. What is life without rules? Right? Colin's got to stay in the solo lane. If he starts getting out of hand anywhere else, that's bad news for me.
Have you ever seen full attack speed Kaolin? He starts when he's raging. He just starts swinging.
No, I suck at Kaolin, so there's no way you could catch me playing anything, even the fun builds for him.
Well, it does work out sometimes. I'm not going to say it's like the best option. If we're looking at these picks, unfortunately, the jungle probably is the best strategic option, which means that the Wardens are going for early pressure. I mean, say what you want about Chalk. I'm talking to myself, of course. The early pressure is certainly there. Yeah, I'm looking at my camera shot. The camera does not lie, and I think the Chalk does bring a ton of early pressure. You're up against Adaji. You should be able to trade relatively even in the early. Late game, however, I think you're building more of a hybrid build, and Daji's going to overtake you in DPS after that.
Well, so far today, 2 European teams have moved on to Sunday. 1 NA team has moved on. So this is the option, the opportunity for the Wardens to tie it up 2-2 and showcase that both regions are maybe equal. This is a chance for the Scorpions to try and equal things out, and it makes things very fun. Trelly, one word real fast. Who you think has this?
One word real fast. I mean, NA.
Well, you can take a little bit of
Okay,
time.
I was gonna say, NA is being held up by the Wardens at the moment. If they really want to even it up and go 2-2, it's got to be the Wardens.
Well, we'll see. Can the Wardens get it here, or will the Scorpions push us to game number 3? We'll find out with Dave and Spooky.
Here's what we did just find out. Trelly can remember a draft even when it's not on his screen, but can't count to 1. That was so many more than just one word. And everything after the first word I ignored. I think he said 1 and then word. That's so few words. So Oh, wow, I had to do a double take. All right, so it is a cheer from Trelly. Counting to 1 or not, he can still be happy. That spooky, it is indeed a Kaolin jungle instead of the Chalk jungle. So we get something new here from Elleon in game number 2.
I mean, I'm not convinced that it's, you know, all that much better. It's still like really weird.
But it's not Chalk jungle.
It's not the jungle. It's not Chalk jungle. So we do get a little bit of variety in our lives here.
No, he's on the Camelot Kings.
Okay, that's true. I'm so sorry. You know, you're just relentless with that one.
No, he's over in the soul. I know that's what you were going for. Double down. Anyway.
Anyway, it still offers a lot of what the jungle does, I suppose. It's still very aggressive early. It has a ton of damage, but it does put this Chalk back into a more natural environment. It takes the Kaolin out of his natural environment, but it puts the Chalk back in there. So all in all, I guess it'll work out. And we've seen Elleon do stuff before. Like, I'm sure he can make this work, especially with the way that the Wardens were playing last game. They want to fight early. They want to look for this aggression. And what better way to facilitate that than by one of the most aggressive early game warriors there is?
Yeah, look, I mean, Elleon loves this play style, so high expectations to make the unique work here for the Kaolin Wardens. And if you talk about early pressure, you've got it in spades when you're looking at a Cupid and a Sylvanus lane. Those two should be able to push against a Ganesha and a Chernobog, but converting that into kills, into gold, that's the next step. But the Wardens were very good at that in game number 1. Wonder how this Sylvanus looks later on in the game. In your eyes, is it pretty binary? I'm hitting my pulls or I'm not, or is there a bit more nuance?
Well, he's picked up the sprint as his first relic, right? So he's getting in there one way or another.
Right,
It might not be the blink, but he's going to be finding a way in there. He's not relying purely on that pull. Now, yeah, the pull is a large part of what makes Sylvanus so good, just the ability to pull one person out of position and put them somewhere they completely did not want to be. But it's not the end-all, be-all of this Sylvanus pick. He's still got a ton of healing. He's still got some really good CC. That's Wrath of Terra is a really big teamfight ultimate. If you can find the backline with that, you don't even have to find the backline with that, right? You can just hit that on whoever's diving your backline, and that creates a ton of space for your team. So there's plenty of options for the Sylvanus right now. The way the Wardens have been playing, though, it's most likely going to be used aggressively.
Hello, Elleon ushers his way over to the solo lane. RelentlessOne, a bit of a bait and switch here, and the damage has not quite been done. Sarpeii teleports into lane, but there's your first blood. Elleon on the Kaolin jungle gets first blood for the Kaolin Wardens, and BevyMonstaa a bit baited in.
Look, if you're going to be picking the Kaolin jungle, you better be getting first blood with it. Sarpeii still in the area, though, looking for the return.
Smart play by Sarpeii, and Sarpeii does return a kill. And the wherewithal from Sarpeii to stick around, pull back a kill from the Aaru Scorpions. So important at this point here in this game.
Sarpeii or smart play? A little bit of wordplay.
A sharp pain just stabs into my ribs there. Smart play by Sarpeii. And actually, as a dash in from Gryph, catches out Davy. Is there enough damage here? I think there is. Oh no, the 2 versus 2 goes to the Kaolin Wardens, and it's Gryph on the... All right, smart play by Gryph. I don't know, there's nothing that rhymes with that. Gets a kill for the Kaolin Wardens.
Gryph did not whiff with the heart bombs. He did that one very cleanly. Dave was trying to sneak his way to safety, but Predss, he doesn't stop, Dave. He's still trying to go for this purple buff. He's not able to secure that one. It is going to go to the Wardens. They're going to go ahead and build themselves up a little bit of a lead. Nothing too serious just yet, but this isn't the start that you wanted if you are the Scorpions, especially after the last game. On the other hand, Dave, they put a kill on the board already. We're only 3.5 minutes in. It's already looking better for them.
We are off to a better game in its entirety for the Aaru Scorpions. We have gotten 1 kill on board. Just to be clear, the painful sound means that the puns are good, right? Like the universal sign of acceptance that I appreciate the play on words is the painful sound, just to make sure that that's clear. But it is a good start for the Kaolin Wardens. Decent answer back from the Aaru Scorpions. And what's good is separated to either side of the map and only 1 gank from Elleon. So Gryph and Geno with all that pressure built up. And now at level 5, really small window here. Maybe can find an initiation over onto Predss and Davy. Is a bit of a pivot point though, right? I mean, Ganesha okay in lane. When you get that Dharmic Pillars online though, that's maybe when you want to see Predss get a bit more active across the map. And here's your level 5. Everyone avoids the lockdown from the Fields of Love, and I admire the attempt from Griff and Geno.
Yeah, if that pull connected, Predss was probably going to fall there. He's still level 4. Geno and Griff are both level 5 right now. No ultimate for Griff now that those Fields of Love are down. But if you connect that pull into the Fields of Love, into the Wrath of Terror, there's no way Predss walks out of that one alive. What I'd really like to see right now is I'd like to see some attention from Sarpeii towards that dual lane. Instead, he's going to be absolutely relentless on this Chalk.
But Chalk will be just fine. Sarpeii does have Palau ready to go. Stun onto Davy. And yes, there's an ult for Davy, but the change in lane, not that massive. Elleon ganks the left side and hits pay dirt once again. Going jungle off to a 2-0 start for the Wardens, and Davy, it has been a brutal start to the laning phase, the exact opposite, 0-2.
Yeah, definitely not what you're looking for here. Elleon has been looking really good on this Kaolin. I really hope that doesn't translate into like more Kaolin jungles in like my casual games.
Yeah, we'll keep it here.
I hope we do. I need this to stay right here. But like, what can you say? How can you argue with it if Elleon's going to be putting up results like this? A little bit questionable from iDavy there. He goes up into the Living Nightmare, and rather than hold it there for any amount of time, he comes right back down. Granted, you don't get the reset on the cooldowns unless you do come down. And now we're seeing more engagement.
Chance to answer back for the Aaru Scorpions. RelentlessOne will be pulled back into the Palau. I thought Moswal might glide forward there. Pikarino is low on his way out. So a nice 3-man collapse in, gets a kill onto RelentlessOne. So really it's now the tale of two sides of the map, where RelentlessOne has died off a couple of times for the Kaolin Wardens, and on the flip side, the Aaru Scorpions have lost their ADC, Davy, a couple of times. Which team is going to be more consistent at converting those lane leads into late early game and early mid-game pressure? Now the big question.
You look at the gods that have fallen, right?
Right.
RelentlessOne on this Chalk. Is that going to affect the Chalk in any meaningful way? So far, no. He's still level 7. He's on level with BevyMonstaa. And no matter what happens to this Chalk, he's going to do the same thing come late game. Rain or shine, he's going to be walking forward. He's going to bring in the Storm Call. He's going to be silencing out any enemy that gets caught in there.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
This is tough for BevyMonstaa. Does not have Eagle's Rally. Unless he gets it up in the next couple of seconds, which he will not. And a killing spree for Elleon. The W key has been pressed and taped down by the Kaolin Wardens jungler. And Sarpeii has been able to keep a bit of pace. 2-0 for the Daji. But just so difficult when Elleon is all over the map, and really helps out RelentlessOne, who had fallen a couple times in lane.
Really smart play there from Sarpeii, though. He notices that the Wardens are stepping up to his side of the jungle, so he's not going to try to contest that. He's going to stay local on the side of himself, secure his own blue buff, make sure that doesn't get taken away. So you're not losing too much there. BevyMonstaa, it hurts that he's fallen, but like we just said, he's still on level. It's not too much of a loss just yet. iDavy is the bigger issue right now. He's fallen about a level down, and this is the pick that you really want to facilitate. You want this Chernobog to reach the late game as quickly as you can. The fact that he's now 0-2-0, only 8 stacks with the Transcendence, that's going to slow the Scorpions down a fair bit. That means he can't use the Living Nightmare quite as aggressively. He's not going to be making these cross-map rotations to try to get a kill onto RelentlessOne as they're ganking. He's going to have to stay local in his own lane. He's not going to be able to start looking at his Gold Fury pulls. And Pikarino is getting poked down.
Geno.
Not Geno.
Can he? No, I don't know who it is. Definitely not Geno. Trying to weave a pull in onto Pikarino, but ends up being body blocked out by Predss. That's a conversation we've had about you, Huang, a handful of times. I mean, we're at level 10 now, but those early levels, the root and then the burst damage just so strong. And a still raging Elleon will not receive the knockup from Geno as assistance as Wrath of Terra misses. Trying to fit that gank into the rage timer there, but unsuccessful. This is what you were hoping for. Pressure onto Griff. Griff has beads, but Davy is ulted in. You gotta get out cleanly, and Davy will, despite taking a couple tower shots. A nice play by the Aaru Scorpions on left.
Yeah, so when I said that you weren't gonna see aggressive Living Nightmares from iDavy, I was lying. I'm sorry, I did not mean to mislead, but what a beautiful play there from Sarpeii and Davy. Beautiful coordination, force the beats out from Griff using the Powwow, just go on in with the Living Nightmare. He had nothing to do about that. At that point, you're not needing the pull from the Powwow. You're just looking for the damage that those chains are going to do, and they execute it perfectly. That's exactly what the Scorpions need to get themselves back into this game, bring this duo lane back to a more even status. And actually, I would say Davy almost has an advantage in the lane now, because take a look at the builds. Davy's gone for the Balanced Blade. Griff gone for the Gem of Fate, so not offering quite as much as that tier 2 item that Davy has.
Davy is stabilized. Very important for the Aaru Scorpions. Elleon continues to put pressure towards BevyMonstaa. It's gone Berserker Shield, and then a bow item for BevyMonstaa after the fact. Keep our eyes on that. Sarpeii hit some big power spikes, though, on the flip side. Brawler's Beat Stick, and then Hydra's. And this really is, it's got the makings of a jungle battle over the next 5-10 minutes or so, because both of them have been effective in applying their early pressure. Beats down on Griff. Moswal pretty safe, though. Could be hard for Sarpeii to find pressure there in mid. Should be fun to watch the back and forth of Elleon and Sarpeii, who have both had good starts to game 2.
Yeah, Moswal just has so many safety tools on this Huang that Sarpeii looking for a gank over there is probably just not going to pan out super well. The Celestial Flight is going to get Moswal out of 90% of the situations he'll find himself in. The Dueling Dragons even has a little moment of CC immunity on that on the windup. And add on to that, he's still got his beads available. He's just going to keep on farming like we saw in game number 1. Moswal wasn't looking for too much until the mid stage of the game, unlike Bevy.
Man, Bevy, I mean, it has been non-stop. Elleon, his 4th of the game, 3rd onto BevyMonstaa. But again, it's the same answer. It's Sarpeii and Davy getting a kill on a Griff on the left side of the map. In exchange for Elleon grabbing another kill, this one closer to mid, but another kill onto the right side of the map. Been a brilliant game plan from the Scorpions to get Davy back involved.
I'm really liking the plan from the Scorpions so far. This puts a little bit more pressure on this left side of the map, which means these red buffs are a little bit more danger. The purple buffs are going to be a little bit more danger. But most importantly, it gives them some pressure on this Gold Fury, because that's going to be the thing that they're really looking for right now. Bevy, he's starting to fall a little bit behind, and he's gone for the Itch of All. He's not going to be super tanky as this frontliner right now. You're not relying on him to get started on these objectives. So Pyromancer, not quite in the question right now. Instead, take your strong points as Predss just takes some aggression from Elleon. I don't know what they're looking for there, but they're not going to find anything on Predss right now. He's too tanky at this point. He's got his Thieves online. Is he going for Kronos' Pendant? I think he's going for Kronos' Pendant, actually.
You know, I was wondering, and this is still wishful thinking. I'm a big Ganesha lover. Love the pick. And Jake, the founder, I guess, creator, one of the early adopters of the Kronos Pendant style supports, Geno, no good on the pull here. Still walking forward, but he's alone, unless Moswal closes that gap. I'm still hoping for a day where we get Kronos Pendant, Bobble, like full CDR on Ganesh, just to see how low the CDR of Dharmic Pillars can go. For now, I'll accept the Kronos Pendant, but that's still going to drastically reduce a pretty low cooldown ultimate anyway. Maybe makes you want to see Predss get a bit more active, drop those a bit more often.
Yeah, once he gets this online, I think we'll see him switch this playstyle a little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive, but Geno is the one stepping forward right now and getting aggro.
Double knock up. Can Moswal get the pull back? Won't use Dueling Dragons, and instead it's just pressure onto Pikarino. Maybe was hoping to go back anyway. So Pyromancer up, so is Gold Fury. Remember last game? Kaolin Wardens were on top of it. Every Pyro, every Fury was there. Is it going to happen to Griff again?
Come on.
Griff has beads. I wonder if he's going to use the dash. I don't know why he would. The rest of the Kaolin Wardens are in range. I don't know. I'm surprised. I figured Sarpeii would be in there right now, but it looks like some ward coverage. Ah, here we go. Now that the Wardens have backed away, Griff going to get jumped on. Fields of Love used. Dash away. Beads, yes. And a bit of healing as well. Sarpeii is able to finish off the kill, but immediately traded out. And that's the first time we've seen that. A trade back on the Griff gank from Sarpeii. And it'll just be the 1-for-1.
And I'm going to say that one still favors the Wardens there. Yes, they do lose Griff. Yes, it's not the best look in the world. Take a look. He's still level 13. He's not super far behind right now. He's got his Fail Not online. And the Wardens, in that time, they're able to steal away that red buff. They're able to pull the beats from Davy and shut down Sarpeii. He was 4-0 when they get that kill. That's a nice chunk of change that goes right into their pockets. And now take a look at that gold. Say it's about 2,000 in the lead. this is what the Kaolin Wardens are wanting. This is where they're feeling very, very comfortable. Despite the multiple ganks that have come through, the Scorpions are struggling to make anything happen.
And hey, look who's got another 2-level lead. It's Moswal over Pikarino, and it's just been a couple rotations out from this Huang. Farm has been there, and a nice shutdown onto Sarpeii. And it's level 15 to level 13, and I believe he just full bought a Staff of Mirrodin. I think he simply just had that much gold, plus the shutdown bonus for Moswal as well, and that was a big power spike in game number 1 as well. Now the Kaolin Wardens will use the Dharmic Pillars onto the Pyromancer. Elleon will not steal it away, confirmed by the Scorpions, but it was close. And I think first Pyromancer of the set for the Aaru Scorpions here grabbed themselves an early objective.
You know, we can broaden that a little bit further. First objective of the set for the Aaru Scorpions here. And it's a good start. We like seeing this, but Elleon is going to keep that gas pedal going.
What do you lose for the Pyromancer? It's Elleon looking for Pikarino in mid. It looks like the Palau is up and down as well. Here comes BevyMonstaa on the up down. Elleon drops first. RelentlessOne thought he might have had more health than he did, and the Aaru Scorpions turn around over aggression and knock down 2 members of the Wardens.
Great fight back coming out from the Scorpions. The Wardens are the ones who wanted that fight.
They did.
And they stepped up a little bit too far, not respected. Oh, what a pull. Not going to lead to anything there. Geno might have actually overstayed his welcome, but take a look at Moswal and Griff.
Moswal here, knock up, Wrath of Terra, Fields of Love, all of it, but still somehow not enough. Griff the one, stunned, and Davey the one, dealing the damage. Goodbye to Griff in this fight, and over the last couple of minutes, 3 kills for the Aaru Scorpions, getting right back close to even, and a shutdown onto Elleon as well. This Gold Fury fight could be important.
Go start this one up. Moswal in the area, Geno in the area, but I don't know that they're going to do enough to save this one.
Fury low, Fury confirmed by the Aaru Scorpions, and the comeback is complete. We are even, in fact, a bit ahead for the Aaru Scorpions, but look at the Wardens rallying around this red buff and don't have the speed to catch up to the Aaru Scorpions. So a brilliant series of events for the Scorpions. Turn around a fight that the Wardens brought to their doorstep, grab another kill, and the Gold Fury, really the first lead to this set up against the Kaolin Wardens.
The really painful thing about this for the Wardens is they didn't have to take that fight over the Pyromancer, right? They had Griff on that left side. He pushed down. He was putting pressure on that tier 2 tower, collecting some global gold for his team, but they just overcommit onto it. They stepped a little bit too far forward, and then, okay, sure, you lost the fight. You haven't lost your lead just yet. Still a little bit in your favor. Then we translate over to this Gold Fury pit. Geno takes a little bit too far of a step forward. He's trying to make something happen. It looks good for him for a moment, but you have to remember, you are the ones that lost the last fight. You don't have everyone there, and the Scorpions were more than happy to step forward for Davey.
Oh man, Elleon is not really, I mean, winning is an understatement. He is getting decimated in this 1v1. Sarpeii nearly traded out. In fact, is RelentlessOne rotates in. Double knock up from Geno. And a jump in from BevyMonstaa flips this fight right back around, and the Scorpions do it again. 3 for 1. And the team fighting composition of the Aaru Scorpions is looking good at 18 minutes.
So one of the big things that this Chalk brings, the only big thing that he brings, is the Storm Call, right? You go up in the air, you got damage mitigations, you bring it down a huge silence. It's a very telegraphed ultimate. Everyone can see that coming. So how does the Scorpions respond? BevyMonstaa waits. He just waits for that Storm Call until it's about to come down. Eagles rallies up and over it, completely immune to the silence, avoids the knockup entirely, drops it straight onto RelentlessOne's head as he's ending the ultimate. No CC immunity there. And Pikarino, he just goes up and over. Ground stance comes through. He doesn't care about this ultimate. And this is the problem the Wardens are running into. They have so many tools on the Scorpion side to just avoid these ultimates and punish the aggression from the Wardens. These abilities are just not connecting. The damage and CC isn't sticking, and the Scorpions are just straight W key from here.
I got to imagine that the Wardens really need Moswal to get a bit more itemization online, which is hard to say. I mean, when you got a Warlock staff, Soul Gem, Staff of Mirrodin, but like as far as AoE burst damage in on some of these initiations, Moswal's dealt it, but somehow needs some more. Griff as well. Griff maybe mainly actually at 1 and 4 needs to do some catching up in that department as well. In the storyline is completely flipped. Remember, it was kind of 2 halves of the map. It was RelentlessOne who was being ganked pretty heavily. Griff was pretty far ahead. Now both of those two have fallen a bit behind. Both of them sit at 1 and 4. And so neither side of the map, despite both of them starting well, has looked good for the Kaolin Wardens over the last couple of minutes. It's like tier 1 tower, maybe under the eyes of the Scorpions.
And this is the problem with the Chalk, right? You've got early game and pretty much nothing else after that. Geno is the target of aggression. He's getting melted.
But will he die? Yes, he will. And it's Davey who's on the killing spree. A powwow up from Sarpeii. Limited by Elleon, who gets a pushback onto BevyMonstaa. Decent looking fight from the Wardens, but that's erased immediately on a double kill from Davey. And a route to Elleon could hand over the triple. Into the backline goes Sarpeii, and the Aaru Scorpions again will knock down 3. Griff scurries away and disengages the fight.
I'm just not sure why they decided to step all the way out of tower. Like, it's fine to decide that you want to defend that tier 1 tower here, right? The goal difference wasn't severe enough to say, okay, we have to give this one up. But Geno steps all the way forward. He's outside the tower. That's not providing any extra damage. And then Elleon follows him out into that fight. And it just creates this really haphazard engagement where Griff is now getting silenced. He could be in more danger.
He is in danger. Pikarino also on a killing spree. I'm smelling a game 3. It seems like that's what the Scorpions are cooking up here. Unless the Kaolin Wardens can make a miraculous turnaround. Could start with the Fire Giant steal. Geno considering it. Double knockup. On the Wrath of Terra, Fire Giant's low, and Fire Giant is confirmed by the Aaru Scorpions. Predss does end up dying to the Kaolin Wardens. Might lose BevyMonstaa as well. The knockup and the silence are both there. So far from as clean as it could have been on a nice pull from Geno. BevyMonstaa eventually should fall for the second kill. Pretty speedy. Moswal doesn't have mana. This will be a long chase. Elleon will eventually close this gap. So in all likelihood, it ends up being Fire Giant, but only on 3 members of the Aaru Scorpions, and the Kaolin Wardens will find 2 kills.
Not the worst trade in the world, but definitely not one that I think the Wardens are super happy with. You take a look, the Fire Giant is still on those 2 damage dealers. Davey and Pikarino are feeling really good, and add on to that, it's on Sarpeii. Sure, you took it off 2 members, but those are not the main damage dealers. Those are the tanks. They're just up there to provide pretty much a sponge for their actual damage. This is not the best look right now. I'm glad to see the Wardens did choose to step forward and try to contest that a little bit. Unfortunately, the Dueling Dragons maybe not quite on point. Came out a little bit early. The full explosion damage I don't think really connected with that Fire Giant. All in all, though, they're still in fighting shape. They're only about 4,000 down. Granted, these tier 1 towers in left and the tier 2s are probably not looking super defensible. What is this deficit? I think they can still put up a soft defense on these tier 2s.
You know, I'll take it back. We need more from Griff, not from Moswal. Moswal's got top damage in the game at 22,000, 8,000 higher than anyone else, and Griff is only ahead of the supports. So I will strike my previous comment from the record upon new information arriving before my eyes. I guess to be fair, I said both, but I initially brought up Moswal. I'm bringing up Griff, and it's kind of been out of his hands, right? I mean, just been jumped on by Sarpeii over and over and over and over again. But getting there. I mean, if you're a Wardens fan, you're starting to get to that threshold, Spooky, where members of the Aaru Scorpions hitting level 20, so XP is going to start mattering a bit less. And actually, the support gap is not all that crazy, just the 1 level. Sometimes in games like this, it's like 3, 4 levels. And so at least in experience, Wardens will catch up here in the next couple of minutes, but I don't know do you draw the line, tier 2s, Phoenix line, where are you looking at defending?
I still think the Wardens have a pretty good defense around their tier 2s. I don't want to see them full commit to it just because Scorpions have so many tools, right? Sarpeii up on that powwow is going to wreak havoc on any defense you try to put up there. But if you can force that powwow out, if you can get Sarpeii to use that early, maybe force it out around the first tier 2, pull back, and then start looking at your Phoenix or the next tier 2. That's where your defense starts to look a little bit stronger. Problem is, RelentlessOne really hasn't been finding any value with the Storm Call. He's been going in and has been getting completely immune by the Aaru Scorpions. Whether Davey just hits the ult button, goes into the Living Nightmare, comes right back down, Pikarino jumps over it, BevyMonstaa just doesn't care at all. The only people you're really hitting with the Storm Call right now is Predss. Is that going to be effective? No, it's not nearly enough. See how they play this as the Scorpions step up to the tier 2.
Always watch out for a pull, though. Geno can totally flip a game around, but beads on 4 members of the Aaru Scorpions. There's your storm call. There it is. It existed, and not much happens after that. And so a defensive utility now down. I wonder if the Aaru Scorpions now realize they've got a better chance of fighting if the Kaolin Wardens stick around.
Oh, they have to. I mean, that's a big ultimate that's just down for the Wardens. They know they have more tools available to them right now, and they're going to go and start it up.
Who doesn't have beads? Everyone's got them.
It's RelentlessOne.
Yeah, RelentlessOne would love to have an Aegis or something else, a second chance, potentially. Aaru Scorpions kill off the solo laner of the Wardens for the 6th time this game. The outer lanes of the map have just been crushed by the Aaru Scorpions over the last few minutes. And now you don't have your solo laner. I don't think you're stepping up to this all that heavily, at least, if you're the Kaolin Wardens. Because, I mean, we're far enough in at 25 minutes, itemization's there. If you lose a full deicide, game might just be over. Kaolin Wardens need to buy their time.
Yeah, they're going to be very, very careful, but the Aaru Scorpions are not committing to this tier 2. The Fire Giant has fallen off, so that's a little bit of a breath of relief, a sigh of relief for the Wardens. They can make a little bit of space. RelentlessOne just cannot survive these engagements. And you take a look at the build, he's got the Transcendence online. You gotta wonder, is that exactly what he needs right now? Because the way his health bar has been melting and the amount of damage he's been able to output, I'm not sure those two things are really balancing themselves out on the scales here.
Right, yeah, needs a little more tankiness maybe.
Just a little bit more. He's got the cloak, so he's gonna be building up a little bit more protection. I'm imagining maybe the Cloak of the Magi, get a little bit of CC immunity in there. Maybe the Spirit Robe to get some mitigations in there after the pull comes through. But I think what really needs to change is maybe RelentlessOne just needs to start saving that Storm Call. Wait for Sarpeii to go up into that Paolo, use it for additional CC immunity so you don't get instantly pulled right into danger.
Kaolin Wardens far behind, but not far enough behind to find a good initiation. Pikarino forced to use the beat, so good value pull there from Geno. Storm Call used, but again, Storm Call doesn't find much. But Elleon, a good-looking initiation here for the Kaolin Wardens, and look at this! It's the Aaru Scorpions who are disengaging, and the Kaolin Wardens down heavily, able to find the first kill of the fight. BevyMonstaa alone with 4 members of the Wardens, and what has happened? The Wardens somehow win this team fight at a massive deficit.
Well, that was impressive coming out from Wardens. Great Fields of Love forced Pikarino into a weird position there. He had to burn the beats, had to walk away, but he had to walk in such a way that he was putting himself further away from his team. He couldn't just cut right across because the rest of the Wardens are there. So Elleon finds a great engagement, but I gotta hand it to the Scorpions as well for the way that they disengaged from that fight. BevyMonstaa committed himself to making sure that the rest of his team got out of there. He was not surviving that. There was no way that he was going to walk out of that one alive, but he forced the rest of the Wardens to stop the chase, pull back to their backline, and finish BevyMonstaa off so they didn't lose their potential to do that Fire Giant. Now, they got 5 around their belts there, 5 Fire Giants for the Wardens.
Is that enough, though? Because you are still heavily behind in gold. How hard are you pushing with this Fire Giant?
I mean, they can easily take this tier 1 tower out of mid. That's a little bit more gold
That's
into
a
your
start.
pockets. The Pyromancer is going to be coming up a little bit here, so you can start looking towards that. Translate that into maybe a push on that tier 2 in the right side. That's a nice little chunk of change to put yourselves back into a more even status at that point. You're probably looking at even game state, maybe a little bit ahead after you do all that. And you have to take into account the stats that the Fire Giant provides as well. That's a good chunk of gold that doesn't really show up on the charts, but you kind of have to mentally add that in.
Sure, Myth calls it about 10,000, I think. Maybe that was Enhanced Fire Giant.
I think that would be Enhanced.
Yeah, Enhanced Fire Giant, maybe about 10,000. Still, good amount of gold as far as stats go in the regular Fire Giant. Doug did highlight it. Mannequin's Hidden Blade for Elleon. Wondered where the Mannequin Scepter would translate later on in the game. And so, burst initiation, especially with the Titan's Bane, Jotuns, seems to be the name of the game, but it's not going to help him against Sarpeii, who just runs him down. And now the Kaolin Wardens, Fire Giant or not, are without one of the strongest players on their team, and they will be collapsed on by the Aaru Scorpions. That's a great Fields of Love, though, from Gryph. Actually flips the fight just a bit, but Davey has run down Geno, and the Sylvanus might just be the sacrifice here to keep the other 3 Wardens alive.
He doesn't need to be if he didn't go back in on that axe. He still has time to get out, but it's such a tough run. Can he do it? It looks like he is going to be able to pull himself away from there.
Man.
But man, Elleon just could not afford to be caught out there. I don't know why he was by himself. the Wardens were grouping up to push that left side. Now it's the Scorpions grouping up to push this mid lane.
Well, if you want a game 3, you are thrilled with the recent development as the Scorpions have dropped a good lead, but now it's been picked back up as an overextension from Elleon has given a 5 versus 3 to the Aaru Scorpions. But 3 members of the Wardens still with FG, and 3 members of the Wardens extending out of their base won't chase down the Aaru Scorpions any further. So 1 minute and 20 seconds left, Spooky. 3 members still with Fire Giant, as I've mentioned. 1 in each of the areas of the map, solo, mid, and duo. But I don't know if there's enough time to now really push yourself to get much more. I mean, about a minute left on the buff.
No, I mean, maybe they pick up this tier 1 in mid. Surely they pick up the tier 1 in mid. But the fact that this tier 1 is
That's the one
still
thing we
up,
wanted them to get, right?
why is it still here? It's just strange how the Wardens decided to position. They are going to go ahead and push for this tier 2. It's a good answer back since they lost their tier 2 in the mid lane. That'll even things up a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, you're still about 8,000 gold behind after picking up the Fire Giant. Your deficit now is larger than what it was when you got the FG and they're going in.
We're fighting in the mid lane. Could this decide game 2? Sarpeii will get rid of Gryph, but there's a good backline dive from the Kaolin Wardens. Davy dashes out of the wall towards the rest of the Kaolin Wardens in. Davy survives, but RelentlessOne fixes that, gets the shutdown onto Davy. And the chalk starting to light up just a bit, but Sarpeii is on a rampage. And the Aaru Scorpions, 1 by 1, run down the Kaolin Wardens. You've wanted it, you'll get it. It looks like we're headed to a game 3.
Sarpeii deserves all the credit in this game. 2 and 10 is the slash line for the Scorpions jungler right now, and they are just pushing it down. Geno is the last man standing. He's gonna try to put in the defense, but what can he do, Dave?
1 Leafy boy against 4 members of the Aaru Scorpions.
Oh my.
And looks like Pikarino is gonna burn it with fire. Aaru Scorpions knock down the Wardens, get the eventual deicide, and ladies and gentlemen, you will get your first 3-game set of SMITE Summer Masters.
I mean, the Scorpions, they said in that interview they weren't worried about the Wardens, and here we are. They managed to take it to a 3-game set. I'll be honest, Dave, after the first one, I wasn't convinced. It was a clean lockout, 0 kills for the Scorpions, and things were looking rough. They never even put up a defense on those objectives. Game 2 is a completely different. Are these the same Scorpions? Are they the same people?
Do Scorpions molt? Do they like shed their shells?
I don't think so.
I was gonna say that's what they did between game 1 and game 2. Yeah, I suppose not. At any rate, it is a. But you were pretty spot on. At the end of game 1, you're like, look, I don't necessarily need the Scorpions to completely readjust their draft strategy. I need the Scorpions to readjust their in-game strategy, and it's exactly what happens here, especially after giving up a bit of pressure early on in this game. Leon off to a 4-0 start.
Yeah.
Sarpeii looks great on the Daji here in this game. So we get down to a game 3, wondering if the Wardens, all right, we've gotten some of the fun picks out of the way, time to bear down. In elimination, game number 3 between the Kaolin Wardens and the Aaru Scorpions, coming up next.
Welcome back, everyone, to the SMITE. No! I missed it! The SMITE Summer Masters. All of that good stuff that just left my brain because we were playing with the volleyball. And Charlie, I hit it to the Alienware. That one's on me.
Yeah, I mean, if it was between the Alienware and the volleyball, I gotta save the Alienware.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I understand. I miss it though. A lot of the fun could have been had. It is so far nothing but 2-0s this tournament, right? We would
up until this point.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
8, then 11 in a row.
Okay.
Set number 12. No more. So we're going to game number 3. See, you ruined the suspense.
Well, I thought you were building a stage, and I wanted to be.
You wanted to be. Oh yeah, you wanted like we were building the stage together.
Yeah, and I was like, up until this point. Yeah, I thought maybe we could bounce off each other.
Until now. No team has
in a
ever
world
seen a game 3
where 3-game sets don't exist.
The Wardens will be pushed to the edge. Yeah, we could make a whole trailer out of this.
Yeah, we should.
If only we had thought of this coming into the desk as opposed to right now on the desk. But yeah, as you can see, the Scorpions were able to bounce back here. A scrappier game. A lot more fights go their way. And Charlie, a little bit, I would say a game of catch, I think is what we had called it. Because one team threw, and then the other team threw a little bit. Some fights that didn't go their way. The Scorpions, though, able to end it out and a much more convincing win. And a very strong amount of kills as well after getting blanked in game 1.
Yeah, I would say so. Sarpeii going like 11-2 or something on this Daji. Of course, Elleon was off to a 4-0 start on the Kaolin jungle, was playing extremely well, but it got to a point where the Aaru Scorpions was a little bit too far ahead, and then a bit of a throw at the Fire Giant. That's that game of catch we were talking about, where the Wardens got fire and then just simply lost the fight. It was not enough, and then the Aaru Scorpions were able to finally come back. And you know, we were talking about about their mentals, what they needed to change from game number 1 to game number 2. When you get blanked, when you don't get a single kill, how do you come back from that? Turns out you give Sarpeii Daji, and that's a pretty good way of doing it.
Turns out the jungler that is banned, or the assassin, I should say, that has been banned the most over the last 3 days, when you get it into the right hands, that goes 11-2-11 and just absolutely decimates your team. 4-0-10 there for Tiamat, 5-3-14 for Davy, who had a lot of very fun to watch plays. Fortunately, the duo lane here didn't quite pop off. The Kaolin in the jungle, decent in terms of maybe presence, maybe not exactly the carry they needed, though. 32k, almost 33,000 damage, most in the game from Moswal. So still rocking that despite not being able to maybe find all of the kills and plays from game number 1. And now we will be pushed to a 3rd game. And Trelly, the Wardens will be first pick. So when we move into picks and bans, you have to remember the things they did in game number 1, and more notably, some of the changes the Scorpions made there in game number 2. Ratatoskr getting banned out was maybe a big deal in game 2. We'll see if they stick to it as we go to P's and B's for game 3s.
Nice.
Except it's just the one game 3. There's not multiple so far. Matt's gonna change tomorrow. I can feel it in my bones though. Daji,
love that.
Immediately banned away.
Yeah, love that from the Wardens. I imagine the Rat will follow back, and it will. So far, those are the 2 adaptations that were made throughout this set. Chernobog, I would love to see as well. Wow, the Wardens. All right, they're listening.
All right, so Trelly, yeah, we're going to get you a coach's headset. we're going to get you out there, man. You're running it.
Well, that's all I really needed to see at this point. You know, I'm cool with whatever. You know, the Lancelot, sure, doesn't matter. These are the adaptations I want to see the Wardens make. The Mercury, I don't think needs to be banned away if you are the Aaru Scorpions. It was one of those picks that certainly was able to do a fair bit. The damage numbers by the end of the game weren't too impressive. I think Elleon was more so the fear of the Mercury was what was doing so much, right? You just assumed, hey, there always could be an ult coming. Maybe we shouldn't walk the lane that way. Hey, let's ward down in the jungle, and if we don't, then we actually can't take this pathway over to the jungle, that sort of thing. Khepri, of course, is going to continue to be banned away, and now we're in a position where...
No, where what?
No, you looked at me and I thought...
Yeah, no, I was going to ask, like, you know, Khepri ban, Yamoja, Xing Chen have been up there. Where do you go for your first pick?
Well, you know,
that's all I wanted to know.
Because it's the Wardens, right?
Yeah,
I don't imagine the Yamojas being picked here, and I don't think that's because...
unless it's going into the jungle.
Right, yeah, exactly. And it's not because NotGeno can't play it, it's more so because that's just not what the Wardens are about. They're not first picking that top of the meta character. Of course, this is elimination time. I mean, they might have to pack their stuff if this first pick is not as electric as they would want. So it is something to think about given the
I
situation.
am
So I was going to say,
Ymoja.
maybe
Do
that
not
enough
forget.
will be enough to make them go to the Ymoja, and that's it. Wow, I can't believe it, but I kind of thought it might be coming.
You like talked yourself into it.
Yeah.
It was a fun roller coaster to be on.
I'm glad
over
you could
here.
witness that.
I'm just like, yeah, okay. And he literally started this sentence with saying it's not going to be Ymoja, and then talked yourself slowly into it, and then we went, actually, yeah, wait, I do want to see the Ymoja. And you know what, Trelly? Good news for you. It is the Ymoja. So locked in first pick, healing, team play, all sorts of fun stuff that she's going to be able to bring to the table. And it is an interesting pickup because
I lead us
very
to
similar to like
glory,
when Khepri gets
to
locked in.
victory.
Right.
It doesn't really say anything about your draft. It's like, hey guys, we just got like the best support available to us. Unfortunately, it does mean there's still a lot of things that are open. They get King Arthur and Cupid for the Aaru Scorpions. And while those didn't work out, as well in game number 1, they're still power picks for a reason.
So exciting!
I want to see Griff go something that can 1v1 Cupid, like something that is not afraid. Like obviously the Chernobog's banned, so that's off the table. I want Griff, not on this Heimdallr that is usually locked in this spot, as he locks in the Heimdallr in this spot. Unfortunate. Well, it will bring some safety. You're gonna have a decent time late game. However, your laning phase. I mean, I wanted to see Griff come out swinging on something with some form of a fight, but unfortunately, it's just going to be, the typical Heimdallr that we've seen time and time again. As we get to see Gore, who's been trying to get a triple.
I've got to spin some really good ones. There we go.
Oh, that was the best one I've seen yet. Now that we finally got.
Because you're paying attention to picks and bans, baby. I'm doing this. It keeps bouncing on my finger. That's the real problem.
All right, but the Tiamat
Needs
is the
more
counter
weight.
lock in there. Pikarino has been able to do a fair bit of damage and a lot of safety on this pick as well. And you know what? This is a situation. You know what? I'm going to put the ball in the Aaru Scorpions' court. Are you going to ban away the Outplash again? Or are you going to let it through? Let's see. Let's see what they do.
So you're putting the weight onto Outplash.
I don't want them to ban it, but I want to see if they'll waste the ban.
Well,
Let's
okay,
see it.
last time it was Hell, Outplash. So first off, Hell, still available. You've got one healer. Theoretically, that's going to be something else. No, they go for the Chalk, man.
All right. Well, now it is
Outplash, Agni,
it is
Vulcan.
Moswal's job to snap lock Outplash and carry this game to victory.
Now
he has to.
Do you want the Outplash?
No,
Do you
I don't.
actively
And I
want
don't
it?
think it'll be good, but it's Moswal's duty because
So
of
Coach Brain Chelly is saying no, don't do it.
Well, yeah,
Or Analyst Brain.
Yeah, I don't think it has a great matchup into Cupid. King Arthur doesn't sound like a good time. However, I just think because the pressure was put onto Moswal by having it banned, he has to just bring it out here. I mean, it's game 3 elimination time. Show us what you've been playing this Outplash for.
Show us whether or not you're going to lock it in. The Vulcan as well, I mean, we saw highlights of. Don't really expect it, if I'm honest with you. It's going to be fun to see, though, either way, where they go with this one. Very similar to game number 1. We'll have to wait to figure out if that's going to get locked in until the Scorpions lock in theirs. Now, Trelly, we're back in a position where in game number 1, it was Eset instead of the Tiamat. Most of this was the same. Last time it was Ymir. The Ganesha locked in. How do you feel about this draft from the Scorpions, just looking at the top 4?
Yeah, I mean, whenever I see King Arthur Cupid, I can't complain. That's just a very strong core. Then you go into the Tiamat, who I've already gone on record to say is never bad. It's always just going to, there's characters that do what Tiamat does better, but she is just so great in all aspects. Very well-rounded mid laner in the current meta. And then, Ganesha, you got Dharmic Pillars, you got a Silence. Of course, Ganesha, not the safest Guardian to lock in a position like this, but has a decent matchup into the Ymoja. Being able to use that dash effectively is always going to help you out up against the Ymoja. So now the Wardens, I mean, it's crunch time. Are you going to the Zeus that Moswal hasn't had in the back pocket? Looks like the Bellona, first and foremost, is going to be the option. I think does actually have a decent matchup into the Cupid, just being able to up down on the Fields of Love and then just disarm is always going to be a decent time. And you can brawl with King Arthur. And it is the Zeus!
Wow, man!
I can't believe it!
Somewhere at home, aggro, I can imagine right now. It's a Friday night, so maybe he has like a drink out, some good food, wings. I recommend that. Aggro likes wings.
Okay.
I can imagine him hanging out and cheering for a game 3, and specifically for a Zeus getting locked in here. And look, I mean, it's something, again, Moswal, we talk a lot about immobile gods. Zeus did not hit that list earlier because it wasn't in the highlight reel, but he falls right in there and admittedly has been meta way more recent than things like Vulcan.
Yeah, and this just goes to show, right? When the going gets tough, Moswal goes to the Zeus, all right? And I think they have some decent setup for it. That's kind of why I was hinting at it. I think Yamoja provides great setup for the Lightning Storm, right? You just sort of drop it on the rivers and say, I'm going to get a bunch of value. And Moswal's one who pilots this pick extremely well. Now you're looking at the opposition. Zeus does not love going into Fields of Love. Zeus does not love going into the Pele. Ganesha should be able to put him out of position pretty easily just with the Dharmic Pillars. It's not going to be easy, but Moswal has played this pick into Ares Daji. He has played this pick into so many different styles of drafts. I imagine he's got to have a backup answer for everything.
All right, Charlie, I got a challenge for you. This is going to be a challenge issued over towards Dave as well.
Okay.
We're going to bounce this back and forth while you give me your final thoughts on this draft. When I do the throw, you or me are going to hit it over to Dave. Dave and Spooky, you've got to keep the ball going, all right? This is a Game 3 challenge that I'm creating right here. Dave nodded, so that's consent.
Okay.
That's exactly what we need. So, tell me, Charlie.
Yep.
Come on, you got to hit it. What are you doing, man? You failed the challenge immediately.
I was worried you hyped it up too much. I
need
got
the ball
nervous.
back. All right, hold on.
Okay.
Reset.
Yeah.
Now, just talk to me, right? Just,
all right.
Yeah, just talk to me. See? Nice and easy.
I'm
Nice
talking
and
to you.
easy. You don't got to hit it too hard.
I'm not.
Tell me about the draft, man.
I thought you were going to ask me a question about the draft.
Yeah, but who do you think is doing? Which draft do you think is stronger?
They're both very strong drafts. Depends on who's.
Nope, Charlie.
That one's on me.
Yeah, you hit it. Okay, maybe that one's on me. No, I had to reach.
We can do halfsies.
We can do halfsies. That one's halfsies.
All right, I apologize.
And now it's over there, so it's not even like Spooky can
it's
graciously
in no
give it
man's
to
territory
us.
now. But looking at these drafts, we had this beautiful graphic here below. I mean, but it's going to be whoever wants. I think it's going to be whoever wants it more. I think both of these drafts have the ability to get to that late game portion. You have to worry about the easy to use circles here for the Aaru Scorpions, Fields of Love, Dharmic Pillars, tons of damage there, but the Wardens have Zeus. So if you can keep Moswal alive, if you can defend this Zeus with your life, they're going to have a ton of damage, ton of AoE damage to make sure to use throughout the team fight. So it's going to be whoever wants it more. It's elimination time.
Look, and that's exactly what it is, right? This is the chance for NA1 to tie up how many of their teams get to stay in this tournament. If you lose this one, if you're the Wardens, EU just has bragging rights over you outright from the get-go. Not only that, but like you said, tournament life on the line. A lot of pressure on these two teams to make it happen here in game number 3. But you don't need to hear it from us. We'll go down to Dave and Spooky for the set.
Our first game 3 of the weekend, and it's the Kaolin Wardens and the Aaru Scorpions in an elimination game number 3. After a bounce back from the Scorpions in game 2, the Kaolin Wardens take game number 1 convincingly. And on we go, Spooky. We don't need a beach ball. We would have done a better job than Goran Trelli.
We could have proven that.
We don't need to. We don't need to prove that. I need to prove that to no one. And the Kaolin Wardens and the Aaru Scorpions finally get us to a game 3. And I think Wardens fans will probably be happy with the return to game 1 style of drafting for the Wardens.
Now, you might not have much to prove here, Dave, but both these two teams do have quite a lot to prove. It's elimination time.
That's right.
One of these two teams is going home. It's only room for one to move forward. Scorpions have to be feeling really good after that last one. They've got the momentum in their favor. They've got to be riding high going into this game. Like you said, the Wardens have returned to form. Elleon back on this Mercury. We saw a lot of success for it in game number 1. We didn't see the Rage get stacked quite as much as you might have liked to. But to be fair, that was also just because the Wardens didn't really need to. They were just kind of running the entire game. Objectives went their way time and time again. Problem is, the Wardens didn't secure all of those objectives through draft alone. It was more just that the Scorpions didn't really show up to any of them. Now that we've got that game 2 under our belts, you got to think the Scorpions are going to be a little bit more active. They've learned their lesson. They're not going to chase RelentlessOne halfway across the map just trying to get a kill on him 4 times to no success. They've learned. They're going to move on. They've found better targets. And really, the dual lane focus, I think, really worked out well for Sarpeii. Just putting Grip behind and facilitating Davy. I'd like to see more of that happen here. But with the Zeus being piloted by Moswal, that's also another good opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to look at. Look, I think one of the biggest wins is Sarpeii not being on Daji again, because Daji was absurd for the Aaru Scorpions in game 2, and just absolutely wrecked the game plan of the Kaolin Wardens. And then another big win, and we'll give the Scorpions some love. But I mean, Moswal on the Zeus, bringing out new mid laner to this tournament. Haven't seen it yet so far in SMITE Summer Masters, but we have seen plenty of Moswal Zeus in the history of SMITE, Griff avoids a lot of the initiation and a nice double stun from Geno. Avoids any further pressure. But Moswal Zeus, Spooky, I mean, susceptible to ganks, yes, but I'm not, no. I'm not even groaning for
Come
that
on
one.
now.
No, Pikarino, he's going to get ganked here, and RelentlessOne on an early rotation out of solo. Again, puts pressure towards Tiamat. But susceptible to ganks is this Zeus, but also high damage output later on in the game.
Yeah, I think once we see Sarpeii hit this 5th level, get the ultimate available, we're probably going to see a lot of attention being paid towards Moswal in this mid lane. However, I'd really like to see that happen before level 5, because if you wait until you have your ultimate in the jungle, chances are Moswal's going to have the Lightning Storm as well. But we do see some aggression on this blue buff. Might not pan out.
Elleon gets a knockback, yes, but how about the double knockup from BevyMonstaa? Sarpeii will take first blood, and it's Elleon who drops. Aaru Scorpions swing first, and they connect with the Kaolin Wardens.
Once again, this is the start that you like to see if you are the Scorpions, or if you're a Scorpions fan. This is what you wanted to see. Wardens, they had some fight back there. They were trying to push the Scorpions away from that blue buff, but to no avail. I think the combination of Sarpeii and BevyMonstaa with both of these knockups is just a little bit too much to be fighting over that early, that grouped up, right? Those knockups hit both members there. RelentlessOne and Elleon get knocked up, and that really reduces your fight back potential. You have to be a little bit more spread out, but that also means that you can't stack the damage onto the CC that Elleon is throwing out. With that special delivery, you want to be throwing them into a wall so they're not traveling. You can just stack up your damage on top of whoever the target is. Right. In this case, it was Sarpeii. BevyMonstaa just steps forward and says, hey guys, I'm still here, I'm still Arthur. I still have about 14 more abilities than you do. You sure you want this fight? And turns out they didn't.
Yeah, Simply has more buttons early on in the game.
Same buttons.
Same buttons, but can press them twice as often?
Yes.
I guess. Right, doesn't have eight abilities, but he does have 8 abilities, but on the same amount of buttons. Now I've just confused myself. He's got more abilities earlier on in the game is what I'm trying to say.
Throughout the entire game,
Throughout,
really.
Oh my goodness. You know, Spooky, I've never gotten this much pushback. But you know what, you're right to call me out on it. And Moswal is getting his immobility called out in the mid lane. And another kill to the Aaru Scorpions. Moswal had to burn the beads, but how much is that really going to do when you got Sarpeii and Pikarino jumping on you?
Well, apparently absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
you
nothing.
burned the beads, burned the ultimate, you still die, didn't return any kills there. Sure, you put some damage back out, but if you're the one going to the gray screen, that damage isn't going to stick around for too very long. Pikarino's still on this Tiamat, so once she's in that flying stance, he's still got the healing coming through. But take a look. BevyMonstaa is back on this blue buff. Once again, not able to secure it, but the aggression just keeps going across the map.
Yeah, it looks like Griff and Geno able to drop the purple buff at least. So a successful invade for each team, one on either side of the map. Right now, the only lane that feels like it's not behind is this dual lane for the Kaolin Wardens. Geno and Griff with the successful purple buff invade. Also haven't seen any jungle pressure, not only from their own jungler, but Sarpeii hasn't made his way to the left side of the map either. So now in back-to-back games, an interesting build path for Pikarino on the Tiamat goes Charon's Coin first. In a meta where it's been Sands of Time, Warlock Staff, now in 2 straight games, straight into the Charon's Coin for Pikarino.
Pikarino also has, for the first time, a level lead. This Charon's Coin tells me that Pikarino wants to get a little bit more active, a little bit earlier on in this game. Get those stacks online as quickly as possible, make those rotations, use the extra move speed that it comes with, and try to get some pressure going for your team. You can already see him trying to put the aggression onto Elleon. He does let him slip away into the jungle, but Predss is right there behind him. And take a look, they're looking at the Scorpion again.
Man, all the little bits of farm now, because that's really all you can go for at this point in the game. The little bits of farm going to the Aaru Scorpions, and a quick glance to the 1,500 gold lead that the Scorpions have built up. A couple of kills 6 minutes in, and good neutral farm and steal. No beads for 53 seconds from Moswal, and no life, but a nice return kill on the stun underneath the tier 1 tower. Pred's low as well. You need to take advantage of this if you're the Kaolin Wardens. You gotta find the last bit of damage. Leon splits the uprights and does end up finding the second kill. Pikarino nearly trades it back and makes it an even 2 for 2, but finally some kills on the board for the Wardens.
If he had the ability to go back into that flying stance, I think that damage alone would have secured the kill onto Elleon. Unfortunately, that cooldown is a little bit high this early in the game. Like I said, he only has the Sands of Time for the 10% CDR. It's not going to be coming up that quickly. Elleon gets to answer back. That makes it, I believe, actually a 2-for-1 in favor of the Kaolin Wardens. So a little bit of fight back, shoring up a little bit of that gold deficit. Not quite all the way there just yet. But Davey still looking for this fight over here in the duo lane. And here comes Sarpeii.
Yeah, this is why. Sarpeii is over here, but a stun onto Sarpeii. Some great peel. Allows Gryph to get out, and that is so important because it's the one lane on the map, again, that has not felt immense pressure. Nice double assist from Geno, but Gryph and Davey have largely been left alone. So nice on Gryph and nice on Geno to keep Gryph alive, but man, Moswal just cannot catch a break. But I suppose when you see a Zeus on the other team, it's exactly what you want to see. Yeah. Constant pressure on the beads.
Yeah, you really cannot allow Moswal to just safely farm up on this Zeus. Because if you leave this Zeus alone, he's just going to get these items online. And there's one thing that Zeus brings to the fight. It's not utility, it's not CC, it is pure damage. And boy howdy, he has a lot of that damage. So you want to make sure that you're trying to keep him behind. Don't let him get those items online, especially don't let him get this Warlock staff online, because once that happens, it becomes that much harder to kill. It won't be insurmountable, but the Scorpions really want to take advantage of this Zeus pick while they still can. Having forced those beads away, this is prime Sarpeii time to make this gank.
Yeah, I wonder if Sarpeii doesn't have Blink for about a minute. And on the flip side, I think you have to look towards Elleon if you're the Kaolin Wardens. Has Sonic Boom. And maybe has a couple lanes of potential ganks. No beads for Davey for 30 seconds. Pikarino still has the beads, but maybe a gank target there. Would you like to see Elleon send a Sonic Boom right down the left side of the map here and get some pressure going for Gryph?
I think Davey would be a really good target for the Wardens, because like you've said, that side of the map is the one side that hasn't really felt any pressure from the Scorpions so far. So get active over there. Have Elleon take that over to this more even fight, and try to just push it into your favor a little bit more. In fact, I believe Gryph has a slight XP lead. He was able to hit level 9 a little bit before Davey was there. So this is a really good place to look. Now, you are going to have to be careful of the Fields of Love, right? You're going to have to make sure you get that damage out before Davey can drop that ultimate. Hold that thought, though. Bevy is the one getting active.
We've done a bit of a roundabout on the Warden side of the jungle. Lightning Storm, first of the game, could be impactful from Moswal. The detonate sets up RelentlessOne. And a nice grouping from the Kaolin Wardens evens up the kills. Karmic Pillars rolls through from Predss. RelentlessOne dodges out some return damage. Leon's still charging up. That Sonic Boom won't send it. And the Kaolin Wardens get a clean pick on the BevyMonstaa.
Yeah, a little bit more aggression onto that purple buff. Fields of Love are dropped, and that means that's not going to be available if Elleon decides to take the Sonic Boom over to that left side. But back to that fight around BevyMonstaa. That's the value that Moswal brings on this Zeus. He drops the Lightning Storm, and you could see Sarpeii wanted to get active in that fight. He was hovering around the edge, but there's just no way he could have feasibly gotten in there. There were 3 members of the Wardens there. That still only makes it a 2v3. You can't really dive into a Lightning Storm that Zeus has just dropped down. He still hadn't used the detonate charges. Sarpeii was trying to wait for that to come through before he engaged, but Moswal was aware of it. He knew what was up. He wasn't using them anytime early. Didn't use those until the Lightning Storm had ended. Pops BevyMonstaa down, that's all it took.
You really got to look for Moswal, I think, later on in the game to repeat that, right? I mean, like if you just need to get your damage off. You might die a lot if you're Moswal, but you got to drop Lightning Storm, detonate, and get your burst into the team fight. And one small instance of Moswal able to do that here. Still 1 and 2, so still susceptible to some pressure from Sarpeii. He's finished up the Erendite, Brawler's Beat Stick as well. So a little early penetration and mitigating some of the healing. Maybe a correct amount. I mean, Geno can sustain up a good bit, but would love to limit that if you're Sarpeii. Pyromancer pulled. RelentlessOne close, but a silence from Predss takes away any steal attempt. RelentlessOne flexing the muscles a bit, maybe pretending he's got some backup, and the Aaru Scorpions will get the Pyromancer and will not look for a further fight.
Relentless and Geno have both been very willing to step forward in this game so far, and throughout the entire set. Even without a whole lot of support back behind them, there are 2 members that are willing to step forward and say, hey, put some respect on our name. What are you going to do about it? Pikarino might be in a little bit of pressure here, but he's the one jumping in.
Elleon dashes away. Sarpeii close by, over the right side wall, just waiting for his opportunity to ult in. Elleon is looking for the same. I got to imagine you're not double ulting a tier 1 tower at this point. Maybe allow the Trebuchet to continue pouring out some damage into the tier 1. Sarpeii instead is going to send pressure towards right. Blue buff invade for the Aaru Scorpions. Maybe. Trebuchet gets it done, and the tier 1 tower ends up dropping after a long siege from the Kaolin Wardens. Could be worse, as now BevyMonstaa caught out by Elleon. A stun rolls through from oGryph as well, and a lightning storm on the end. Moswal, second kill of the game, evens up the KDA.
Now Sarpeii trying to look for a way in, but the Scorpions are on full retreat. Moswal, beautiful ultimate, but RelentlessOne is doing going in.
And it's Elleon with the sonic boom, delivers it to Predss front door. Double kill for Moswal, who has turned his game around. Started off 0-2, and now turns it into 3-2 on a killing spree. Is this Zeus? Doesn't have Lightning Storm. Nobody on the Kaolin Wardens have their ultimates, but a numbers advantage on the map. That equals Gold Fury, and that equals even game here in game number 3, unless Davey makes some magic happen. And unfortunately, the magic has run out.
I was real worried Davey was going to try to commit the Fields of Love to that Fury. If he does that, he's just dead to rights.
Dead,
he just gets completely engaged on. Once again, Moswal, beautiful ultimates coming out, but you really got to commend both Moswal and Geno on that one. Geno completely separates the fight, leaves the only avenue out of the River's Rebuke straight into that Lightning Storm. They don't stack it on top of each other, right? Because they know that the Scorpions are trying to get out of that area. So just force the Scorpions to choose one or the other. Which evil do you want to fall to? Scorpions end up trying to take their retreat route out of the River's Rebuke, which, frankly, you can't really blame them. The Lightning Storm, so much damage, but Moswell still picking up the double kill. 3-2-1. Still not too far ahead. Pikarino is still at an even level right now, but the gold lead that the Scorpions previously had is starting to shift back into favor of the Wardens. Not a lot just yet, but it's enough to start worrying that, okay, the Wardens are starting to win fights. They're starting to take these objectives. They're starting to do a little bit more on the map than we were as the Scorpions, and that's got to start getting you sweating.
It's really a momentum game right now, more than what feels like anything else. You do get the golden experience, but the last few fights where the Scorpions are like, wait, what's happening here? We were winning up to this point, but we haven't gotten kills in a few minutes. Suddenly, the 0-2 Zeus is on a killing spree. What's happening? It's been a great turnaround for the Kaolin Wardens. And so in an effort to stabilize, if you're the Aaru Scorpions, maybe you can force an ultimate out of Leon and Moswal and just lose the beads if you're Pikarino. If you're the Scorpions, are you hoping that you can take a deep breath, farm up a minute? I mean, again, the gold is really not that out of control. Or are you trying to punch back to the Wardens right now and maybe catch them off guard?
To me, I don't think that just passively farming is the answer. Right now, the Scorpions need to find a way to get Moswal out of these fights. He's the big problem. So this red buff invade is starting up. Look at Moswal's positioning. They want this fight.
Fields of Love from Davey, but Leon is just sidestepping everything used to Leon, and Leon lives anyway. oGryph connects with the Ganesha with his ultimate. Predss is going to crash down, and it's in a bad spot, but the immediate dash through into the Riptide keeps things interesting, but Predss, in all likelihood, will survive. All this over what was a red buff invade, I believe, from the Kaolin Wardens. No kills end up dropping.
So right now the Scorpions, they're trying to punch back. They're trying to find kills, and Elleon was their target. The problem they're having right now is they're ignoring other members of the Wardens that are behind them. If you notice, Geno was behind them that entire time. He didn't even get looked at. So while they're trying to chase Elleon out, trying to find the kill, he just says, okay, well, now Elleon has enough distance. There's enough walls here. I'll throw up the River's Rebuke, and there's nothing that the Scorpion can do about it at that point. We do start seeing that shell come online to try to help out with that a little bit. The fact of the matter is the Scorpions are devoting so much to trying to chase one target down, and it's a very slippery target.
Yep.
They have to be willing to switch back and re-engage on a separate target that might be in a better position for them to DPS. And Geno, he had no help back there. The only one that was able to step up at that point was Moswal, and he's incredibly squishy. Be willing to adapt to your targets and try to find a better one.
As far as a shifting mindset, though, I do appreciate the Scorpions willing to punch back against the Wardens and throw some aggression towards them. You don't want to let the game slip by quietly, because remember back to game 1, it's exactly what happened. The Wardens were able to win fights, and there was never any pushback from the Scorpions. And eventually, by the time you were defending, the game was over. Pyromancer confirmed by the Wardens. Most of the damage rolls through from Moswal, and it looks like not much of a fight back from the Scorpions on this one. Pyromancer's already gone, and so it's really the next minute. Pyromancer now down. You got a minute to sit back, farm up, spend some gold, and can really decide as a team how much you're willing to send over to this next Fury.
And right now, I don't think the deficit is too severe. It's only about, what, 1,500 in favor of the Wardens, and not even 1,500. Look at that, only 1,000 in their favor. Scorpions have plenty of room to fight back. But it comes down to, can they get the better positioning? Can they find a way to push the Wardens off? If they can either force Moswal to ult early on these objectives and then disengage, or find a way to pick Moswal out before they start the fight, that's going to be critical. Because right now, if you step up to the Wardens at this Go Fury, what's going to happen is Geno's going to step up with you, Moswal's going to be there, and they're both going to drop their ults and lock you into this no-play zone that you just don't want to be in, but you also can't really escape at that point. Elleon's going to Sonic Boom through your team, and you're not going to have a whole lot of answers left after that. So they have to find a way to get some action going before they step up to this objective. I'm thinking Sarpeii, maybe try to find a flank, but if Griff steps out, that might be a good one too, but Bifrost is a thing.
Yeah, this is Heimdallr we're talking about here. Going to need a bit more from the Aaru Scorpions, and luckily, Scorpions don't spend much. And get the beads from Griff, so a very small moment that could be impactful around this Oni Fury. And when a game is this close, in a Game 3, an elimination Game 3, when things are as close as they are, these fights, these smaller early game fights, mid-game fights, change the way the next few minutes of the games look. Predss is going to step forward and take a mountain of damage from Moswal, but look who's found the back line. It's BevyMonstaa, and Fields of Love is answered as well. Griff forced to dash away, but still aggression from RelentlessOne in the back line of the Scorpions, and that's an easy pick from the Aaru Scorpions. RelentlessOne received no support from the squad, and the Scorpions will find an easy one.
Now they've got Geno's ultimate down. Now this objective looks a lot better for them. They still have to be wary. Moswal still on the map, still has the Lightning Storm available, but now the Wardens aren't in a position where they can just walk at the Scorpions. But what is this? What is this? They're going for the purple buff rather than stepping up to this Fury. They are going to come back to it. I was worried there for a moment.
Right.
We'll see how the Wardens respond.
This is Moswal's moment to step forward and make a play for his team. Can you send the damage up and over the wall? Be careful. Sarpeii is to your right. And so Moswal looks like he won't overextend. Oni Fury confirmed by the Aaru Scorpions. But it's a kill there for Moswal, and a double Sonic Boom from Elleon out of nowhere. Out of right field, Elleon flies into the front of this fight and grabs two, and Moswal's got the damage as well. Elleon will live with the Aegis, but he's going to faceplant into Sarpeii, who at least pulls back one kill. It might be doing one better. Double knockup, Sarpeii, big play, double kill. But a jump in from RelentlessOne secures the D side, and the Kaolin Wardens come up with 5.
Wow, what a fight coming out from both sides. First of all, beautiful play from the Wardens. That Sonic Boom from Elleon was picture perfect. Take a snapshot of that one, save it in the books because you're going to come back to that one for a little while. Hits 2 members as Moswal completes the kill onto Bevy, and this just blows the whole thing up. Sure, you lost the Oni Fury, but you're pushing it all the way down this mid lane. Griff just Bifrost right on out as he forces the teleport out from Bevy. What a beautiful play. Sarpeii had a great flank, but unfortunately, ulting into a 1v3, even with Pikarino able to come back and put some damage out, it's not really going to work out too well. Bright side is they were able to return some of those kills, so they didn't lose as much as they could have, but they're still not in the lead.
No, they're not. Look, and again, Moswal dies, but he gets his damage off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's able to get everything out there on the onset of that team fight. Uses both actives, still dies, but it's still top damage here in this game. And Griff has made some good plays happen as well. So defensive, as you need to be at times on this Heimdallr. Has pulled a big level lead over the Aaru Scorpions. You really got to zoom in on that, because that's the biggest lead in the game right now. 19 to now 17 of Davy. Was 3 levels just a moment ago. Well underway in that build. Almost a full item advantage.
And it's kind of
for Griff, so he's in a good spot.
It's really strange how well he's been able to play this lane, because you've seen the pressure that the Scorpions have been trying to put onto him, but he just doesn't care. Much like BevyMonstaa might need to start carrying.
Ow. I mean, Griff just wailing away on BevyMonstaa. Luckily for Bevy, the ultimate not connecting. RelentlessOne's, though, does. And a stun from the Eagles rally, and no help from Davy, but Sarpeii on the other side of the fight has reinitiated. Fire Giant slinging some damage out, but won't end up grabbing the kills. Will RelentlessOne get stunned? No, he won't. Pikarino and Sarpeii on a silver platter then it's time for the Wardens to eat. RelentlessOne will get one, and a Riptide from Geno does slow down Sarpeii on the way out. Gryph has got the damage, and one by one, Spooky. This is looking great for the Kaolin Wardens.
Oh my goodness, Davey just barely able to get out of that one, but Predss is the next target. Look at the damage that Moswal is able to sling out. Moswal and Gryph both together are just shredding the health bars of Aaru Scorpions. It looked like an okay fight at the start, but RelentlessOne able to chase down BevyMonstaa, force him out, and he even pulled Davey away from the main fight. Now they're looking for this fire giant. Predss the only one here. I don't think he can do it by himself.
Predss need to make a miracle happen. Davey is going to get zoned out by Geno. Dharmic Pillars just off the mark, and RelentlessOne has got the damage for one. And the Kaolin Wardens have the damage for FG, all 5 of the Wardens now with Fire Giant. And the Aaru Scorpions reeling from the last couple of team fights. You could feel a momentum shift in this game, and the Wardens have not relinquished it. And the Aaru Scorpions back beneath their Phoenix line, trying to stave off elimination.
Make matters worse, they now have a trebuchet they have to deal with. The Wardens are in a great spot, and they're going all the way in?
Oh, Pikarino won't get deleted by the Lightning Storm and the Detonate, but does provide some zoning for the Kaolin Wardens. Right side Phoenix, not dead yet. Fields of Love from Davey slows down the initiation. Sonic Boom again from Elleon, and again it has hit 2 in the back line. The Kaolin Wardens dropped 3 of the Aaru Scorpions, and the call is to end. Pikarino and Predss will stand tall, and the Wardens will take a deep breath before looking at the Titan.
Man, Elleon has to be stopped. He is just finding so much value with these Sonic Booms, constantly just ulting from quite a distance away, finding 2+ members of the Scorpions, and now the Wardens are just stripping away these structures. Mid-Phoenix is the next one.
Dharmic Pillars through from Predss. Need this one to really hit, but all it does is group up the Wardens and funnel their damage into the Phoenix. Predss going to get stunned by RelentlessOne. Respawn still 10 or so seconds away. Don't want to lose RelentlessOne, not just yet. And the mid and right Phoenix now both gone. Good news for the Scorpions. Can't be an immediate rotation to the left side bird. Still 2 towers on the left side of the map for the Aaru Scorpions, but the gold lead, we're nearing insurmountable, Spooky, and could be sunsetting on the Aaru Scorpions tournament lives.
Wardens now almost 10,000 in the lead over the Scorpions. Gonna go ahead and take this Gold Fury before they reset. That's gonna push them a little bit further up. Like you just said, Dave, this is looking like a bad situation. You're starting to approach the 99%ers. Wardens now do officially establish a 9,000 gold lead over the Scorpions. This is looking rough. You have to start making sure not only your play is perfect, but you have to start finding some mistakes that the Wardens are making. You have to be able to catch them out, but the problem is, the Wardens, they're not spreading themselves out right now. They're staying grouped. The only one who's not grouped up with the rest of his team is generally Elleon. Yeah. Why is that? Oh, it's because he's ulting you from halfway across the map, and he's just raining destruction through your team fight. The Scorpions, they're in a tough spot. They have to give up the tier 1. There's no chance they stand tall at this tier 2. It's all down to this left side bird, but with 2 Phoenixes down, that Titan has to be paid attention to. It's such a tough situation to be in.
Step 1. Don't let your backline get double hit by Sonic Boom. There you go. Check that box.
There you go.
And then you can turn the damage towards Leon, make him uncomfortable. But Leon has just been so effective with the initiation, and the rest of the team of the Wardens deserves their due praise as well. Geno has raised my eyebrows in a good way at 0014 on the Emoja. Riptide, stuns, Rivers, rebukes, all of it connecting this game in a good, just flow state Emoja. Totally changes how a game looks. And that's what Geno's provided to the Kaolin Wardens here in a must-win game number 3. Looks like 1 chance left. Gotta keep your eyes on Elleon, and when he lets that Sonic Boom fly, stun out from Davey. RelentlessOne stunned on the front line as well. Could happen at any moment when Leon chooses to pull that trigger.
And Davey carefully positioned. He's making sure he's staying behind this Phoenix so that Elleon can't just group up. But Elleon now on the other side, looking for the flank.
Where does he choose to send his ultimate, though, or will he even need to? He's just going to take the 1v1 up against Sarpeii. Fire minions onto the Titan already. Left side Phoenix low, but not taken down as Geno's been chunked down just a bit. RelentlessOne doesn't have the Eagles rallying. Look, a rare miss from Elleon. That's a win for the Aaru Scorpions. You lose your left Phoenix, but you've kept everyone alive.
Force the beads out from Davey real quick. He had to beads dash to get out of dodge real quick there. If he wasn't on point with that, Elleon had him dead to rights, and probably open up the possibility to end that game. But as it stands, Fire Giant has fallen off of the Wardens, back to a little bit of a better spot for them. That Fire Giant's going to be coming back any time now. You can see it's only about 30 seconds away, closer to 40, but we'll call it half a minute. And that's where the pressure really comes down. Scorpions can't let that one go down for free. Sure, it's not enhanced, but with 3 birds down, you have to make a do-or-die play around that.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna lose the game 99% of the time anyway here if you're the Scorpions, but it's gonna get to 100% if the Wardens are freely able to get this Fire Giant on all 5 members of their team, barring a complete misstep. And they're gonna have to misstep 3 or 4 times as the Aaru Scorpions have fallen heavily behind. Good news, right side, mid lane Phoenix, those are both respawning, and the left side Fire Minions have been held up just a bit, but with Griff slowly pushing out the left side of the map, the Warden's not forcing this Fire Giant just yet. That has given some time for those left side Fire Minions to walk in towards the Aaru Scorpions base. Do have Tiamat minions, that's worth mentioning as well, and so there is going to be some pushback from the Aaru Scorpions able to stabilize some of these lanes just a bit better.
Yes, minions don't last quite as long as they used to, though. Only about 2 waves spawning now, so not going to be exactly the saving grace. And now Fire Giant being started up, melted down.
The Scorpions letting this one go. They are.
Wow.
There was no fight from the Kaolin Wardens. I mean, the call there, because what you're doing is playing the odds. The call now is the Scorpions are saying our fight is better underneath a Phoenix or our Titan against all 5 members of the Wardens with Fire Giant than it would have been fighting at the Fire Giant. And if that's what the Aaru Scorpions think their best avenue is into this game, I suppose that's their call. But you're going to now have to step up against a fully FG'd up Kaolin Wardens.
And this Phoenix is not going to last for very long. Already Umudabrutu used.
Oh, nice.
Lots of
goodness.
damage.
Half HP off of Predss, 100 HP off the Phoenix. Still waiting for Elleon to send his ultimate through, and a Dharmic Pillars gets used by Predss as well. I was wondering if we would see some face plants of the Sonic Boom into like a Dharmic Pillars or something, and that was a moment where it could have happened, but it doesn't end up rolling through. Actually, a couple low health bars for the Wardens here. Remember, we're late enough in the game, we're behind or not, the Scorpions are still going to be able to chunk down some damage. Maybe this is the opportunity the Scorpions have been hoping for. RelentlessOne needs some sustain from Geno. Riptide should help out the squad. There is a River's Rebuke as well. Sarpeii way behind the Kaolin Wardens here, and it'll be a 1v1 in the jungle. Leon drops the Aegis. Sarpeii has used the beads, and Pikarino jumps in and gives the Aaru Scorpions some life here in this fight. But it is going all wrong elsewhere. Leon dies, but everyone on the Scorpions drops except for Pikarino. Moswal goes huge, and the Kaolin Wardens looking like they're going to send the Aaru Scorpions home. Moswal, Geno, and Griff waltz their way into the Titan room unless Pikarino can make a miracle happen. Fire minions are there, and Griff has got the auto attacks. Pikarino gonna have to be aggressive here, gonna have to jump in, and that's exactly what happens, but Griff waves him goodbye, and the Kaolin Wardens eliminate the Scorpions.
Just clinical coming out from the Wardens there. It was a nice attempt at the end there from the Scorpions. Sarpeii had a good flank, but unfortunately, if you're going to make a play like that, right, if you're going to step all the way up to the Wardens and try to fight them around that Fire Giant, why didn't you just do it before they got the Fire Giant secured for themselves? You're just making the fight harder. It allowed a really nice flank from Sarpeii, but that just wasn't enough.
Hey, we're splitting hairs in a moment like that, but, you know, the final shot call ultimately is the last decision the Aaru Scorpions got to make in this game. But the Kaolin Wardens, I mean, think about the turnaround that this game had. Early on, it's looking like the Scorpions are in a really good spot. Sarpeii is getting things going for his team. I look at the turnaround specifically that Moswal had. I mean, it starts off 0-2 on this Zeus, and by the end of the game was just insta-deleting health bars. Good luck from the Kaolin Wardens. They will move on. Scorpions, unfortunately, will be headed home, and as such, we will be headed to the desk.
That's a fantastic set there from the Wardens. Great game 1. They blank out the Scorpions. Stumble there in game number 2, which is just great play from the Scorpions themselves. And then here in game 3, they show us exactly what they have to offer. Incredible plays, even towards the end there. The Scorpions are holding on, making sure they're getting a couple of hits in with the Stinger. But unfortunately, the Wardens throw them in jail this time, Trelly. And I'm proud that I just thought of that. And normally I'd have a question for you, but I'm really riding that high right now, and it feels really good.
That was just so sick.
How does it feel? I mean, watching that set, I don't know why I'm asking how it feels. Watching that, you know, you get to see the Mercury, but specifically the Heimdallr, which you were kind of surprised to see them go back to. Had some pretty big pop-off moments at the end there.
Yeah, Griff definitely was like, hey, I need another chance on this character. Like, give me Heimdallr again. I promise you I will be on point. And they were, of course, as you would expect. Elleon on point with these sonic booms. The first game, they won, of course, but the Mercury wasn't doing crazy amounts of damage this time. Those ults were consistently connecting. And, of course, Moswal on the Zeus. I was calling for it. I was waiting for it. And once it finally came through, the damage numbers were certainly there.
Look, I know you could see it in the player cams. You've seen Leon's arms. Absolutely going to hit like a truck normally, right? But he's been working on the cardio in the gym, too, man. Chasing them down. Look, yeah, like you said, those ults were absolutely devastating to the backline. We even got Moswal running around on the Zeus. Look, ignore the KDA. 1.4 doesn't seem crazy. I think the damage numbers there were really solid. And like you said, the combination that it could have with these team fights was just stellar for them. But between that, the damage you're getting out of a Zeus, the damage you were getting out of Griff, and then the setup that Leon was giving the team, it just felt like there were so many fights, around Phoenix's objectives, wherever they were. Things just, unfortunately, for the Scorpions, could not go right. I mean, that's a good example. Like, one of you dies to the Zeus, and then the other two of you are stunned. You can't even respond to try and help them out. I think they just played this one well from top to bottom.
Yeah, there was a couple times where I thought someone was going to get out from the Scorpions, some low health bars running away, and RelentlessOne was always there to clean up when need be. So it's nice where you can look to your tanks,
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have enough damage, but the cleanup is always there. Not only is your solo laner's job to just get in there and be as annoying as possible, make sure that the carries can't do their jobs, but a 6-2 slash line on the Bellona, I don't think you're ever going to complain about that one either. And look
Now, I don't know, 6-3 though on the Zeus. You might complain about that. No, you're not going to complain about that one either. He's a phenomenal form. What were you looking at?
NotGeno, 0-18.
That's a perfect game.
Yeah.
From Geno. Wow, there you go. 0-0-18. Look, 7-1-8 there for Griff. And 7-3-9 for Moswal. RelentlessOne, like you said, 6-2-5. Everybody, it feels like, got a piece of that cake. And what's wild is on the other side, it's not like too many of the slash lines were egregious, right? There was a 1-6, I think, for BevyMonstaa, same down there for Predss or Davy. But for a lot of them, at least for Pikarino, Sarpeii, they were able to put some good damage numbers out there and keeping in charge of that, as well as at least some impact on the team fights. But unfortunately, once again, the Scorpions fall down. The Wardens get to move to Sunday. First off, 2-2, 2NA, 2EU that are going to be joining us right then to discover, I guess it's going to be 4 SPL teams that they're going to have to make it through. But now after this under your belt, again, another good set, you've got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I imagine so. Go back to the hotel, watch some Smite tomorrow, and just, get mentally prepared, because I was talking about beforehand, the Wardens were essentially holding up the rest of NA on their shoulders. We want a 2v2. We want to keep this balance in the side, and the Europeans, they almost took over, but it looks like the Wardens were able to even that one out. So now we're going to have a nice and even SCC split going into the rest of this tournament, so you folks at home can root for whoever you'd like.
And with that, though, 4 teams now have been eliminated. 4 teams from today still get to keep going. One of those teams is officially the Wardens. We've got them standing by ready for an interview.
That's right. RelentlessOne and Geno here with me. And Geno, I'm going to start with you. Perfect game.
Two perfect games.
Yeah, in this set, two perfect
yeah,
games.
yeah,
I'll give you your props. Two perfect games here in this set. 0-0-18 on the emoji here in game number 3. I've always said it's like a flow state kind of character. Is that how you see it? Like it all just starts connecting and everything starts to be hitting right, or?
It's a passive support, so if your team's winning, you just look good. So.
Is that what happens here? It was a passive support for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Who won game 3 for you guys?
Griff, and Moswal, and Andy.
Yeah,
Elleon,
what happens with Moswal here in this game? I mean, starts 0-2. Are you guys ever worried that the Zeus wasn't going to bounce back?
Give him a few items, and even if he's dying, he's killing the whole team. So we take that every time.
RelentlessOne, bounce back game 3 here for you. A tough game number 2. Got piled on a few times.
Yeah.
Needed a good look here in game 3 to close out the set.
Of course. I mean, me and Griff, little hard performances, but we bounce back.
Hey, look, it happens. And you guys end up getting the game 3 win. And so, if you guys were to kick back, I'm going to give you a good one here to end on. We got summer themes here in the studio. If you could fill those coconuts with one drink, what would it be?
Water. Just water.
Water after
getting
stay
hydrated. Summer heat.
I don't even know.
Yeah, because we're gonna be playing beach volleyball the whole time.
Yeah, we need to stay
so,
hydrated.
Yeah, just hydrated.
Maybe Gatorade for some electrolytes.
Oh, yeah.
2v2 beach volleyball? You two on the same squad?
6v6,
Absolutely.
2v2, doesn't matter.
Whatever. Look, guys, a great set. Good to see you guys advance on in the tournament, and best of luck in your future matches.
Thank you.
I'm starting to think maybe we cut this whole SMITE Masters thing off. I want to see the beach volleyball Masters, man. I got the 2v2. They seem like they're prepared for it. The Wardens win, though, Trelly, and they seem very high spirits because of it, and admittedly, deservedly so. And I like the recognition. Immediately, hey, hold on, first off, 2 perfect games. And then immediately also it was like, it was Griff and Leon and Moswal, though, we were here. Although they had some really good slash lines and looked positive towards the end. The Wardens, like we have mentioned, move on, and they give us the first 3-game set of the tournament so far. 11 sets prior to this where it's been nothing but 2-0s, and you'll see that if you look at the schedule for what happened today. Of course, the bracket here as well. This team specifically now getting to move on. A lot of these teams, the teams that won today, the Wardens, the Ravens, the Mambo, the Hounds, their brackets are going to look all very similar, which is they're going to be waiting for an SPL squad in the winner's bracket to lose and get knocked down with them. But a 2-1 win here to close out the day for the Wardens. They got to feel proud about that one. And like you said, keeping things a little more balanced for us. Tomorrow, though, Trelly, we're going into promo games. We're talking teams immediately getting their free pass, fast pass, for a 1 week forward and jumping in. So if you're the Wardens, you're awaiting the loser of the Titans and the Leviathans. Yikes.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to be honest with you guys. You played really well. Those are 2 Worlds finalists. No matter what, you're facing either a World Champion team or a second runner-up World Champion.
Yeah, what a prize at the end of this day of SMITE. You get to face the loser of the Leviathans and the Titans. But I'm sure, after a win like that, the Wardens are going to be sitting ready. They're going to be excited for it.
I realize this schedule does look just like it's like a really stacked SPL day, but I promise you, this is all SMITE Masters. Valks Kings kicking us off tomorrow morning. Bolts, Scarabs, the Dragons, the Warriors, and then to close us out, the Leviathans and the Titans. That's just going to be an exciting day. I expect, we got 1 3-game set here. I'm starting to anticipate at least a couple that are going to happen tomorrow. I couldn't tell you which ones, though. I just know that it feels like it's going to. And again, looking at it, Group A, B, C, and D, all 4 of them still continuing forward. 2 teams from each group, Trelly. That's all that are going to be able to make it to next week. And tomorrow, having a couple of SPL teams taken out of the mix for the rest of the weekend feels like it'll be pretty solid for everybody. But for myself, from Trelly, you wanted to dink it. There's nothing in here. Either way, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow in the morning for SMITE Masters Day number 4 as we kick it off for some promo games.